a two-part answer to this. When I spoke with FAR representatives, they said yes, people living on the main path, which is Wesleyan Drive through Main Street, are required to decorate. But people who live in McAdenville but are not along the main route are encouraged but not required. The next question, do residents have to pay for electricity to power the light display on their homes? FAR says yes, homeowners do foot the bill for their electricity. According to McAdenville, the Christmastown USA story began in 1956. Back when it was a mill town, FAR says the mill used to help residents pay the electricity bill. But today they have to pay on their own. And you can catch the lights until December 26th. The lights will shine from 5:30 to 10 at night.
This month is HIV/AIDS Awareness Month, and right now local organizations are working to reduce the stigma surrounding the illness in Mecklenburg County. In fact, the data shows it is especially important for the Black community.
Yeah, in fact, WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay spoke to experts about how the the epidemic has changed and what you can do to help.
A decades-long epidemic, still dealing with a symptom that can't be healed by medicine.
HIV comes with stigma.
Darlena Blackwell sees it firsthand in her work with RAIN, an organization offering resources to HIV and AIDS patients in Charlotte.
And many times they disclose and they say HIV. It's like the horror movie that a lot of people don't want to watch.
But even with medical breakthroughs like PrEP, a medication that can significantly reduce the risk of contracting the virus,
insurance enrollment to individuals,
the stigma persists.
HIV is not the disease that people made it to be some years ago.
It's something the Mecklenburg County Health Department is working to fix, especially within the Black community. In 2022, Black patients accounted for 65% of new HIV diagnoses, while only making up 31% of the population. Dr. Raynard Washington says outbreaks like this come down to social network.
It's nothing inherently different about people, their color, their skin, or sexuality.
Stopping those outbreaks, especially in disproportionately impacted communities, comes down to reaching out.
We have a faith-based coalition that's obviously engaged in the Black church. We have a number of community-based partners who are helping us every single day.
Partners like RAIN, doing their part to offer tests and support.
Once you reach that level of being undetectable, you are no longer transmitting the virus.
Because while stigma may be a symptom of a larger issue, they say it's conversations like these,
the diagnosis isn't the person,
that make all the difference. Julie Kay, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, let's get another check your WCNC weather impact forecast with meteorologist Becca Birdsall. Becca, it's rainy, it's gloomy, and pretty soon it's going to get cold.
Yeah, that's right. It's certainly been a nightmare if you've had to venture out traffic-wise, but we've got some changes on the way. And let's play a fun game called Can You Spot the Cold Front? Currently in the 60s right now in the Charlotte metro area, but dropping into the 30s for the mountains. That colder air will only continue to usher in as that cold front sweeps off to the east. That will not only dry us out, but it'll kick our winds up and make temperatures freezing cold by tomorrow morning. Live look outside from Boone, courtesy of resortcams.com. This is one of the areas that we're expected to see that transition from rain to snow in the next couple of hours as temperatures only continue to drop. And the cold front has actually hit the mountains. In fact, there's an active wind advisory for this area all the way from now until just after midnight tonight for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour at times. So combine that with not only the freezing temperatures, the wind, and the snow chances. Those are hazardous driving conditions. So make sure to exercise caution if you do have to venture out. By 2-3 o'clock, temperatures in the mountains will likely drop below freezing with snowfall potential. And some of the highest elevations around 1 to 3 inches possible all the way from this afternoon into early tomorrow morning. Now today, rain is going to be moving out. It's going to be turning windy for everyone, not just the mountains. And overnight, temperatures dropping cold, likely below freezing across the area. And this weekend, bringing our next rain chance. Satellite and radar showing that drying trend, especially in our western counties. Still some heavy rain being hammered right now for some of our most eastern counties. This includes Wadesboro, Chesterfield, down into Rockingham, some pockets of heavy rainfall possible. And this is an area that has been seeing these training or stationary rain over the past couple of hours. So minor flooding and some ponding on the roadways certainly would not surprise me. So wipers on, lights on, that's going to be the motto as you head out the door for today. Over the next 36 hours, that cold front will only continue to slide through. Snow showers will begin later on tonight, and then a high pressure system will settle in, and that will keep things not only dry, but also pretty cold as we head into the next few days. That cold front also going to crank up our winds again, not just in the mountains, but I think we could see gusts around 25 to 30 in the metro, calming down later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. But combine that with the colder temperatures, we'll likely see wind chills just this evening dip below freezing. 7 p.m. tomorrow morning gets even colder. You'll likely be stepping out the door with feel like temperatures in the 20s, single digits possible for the mountaintop. So headed off for work or school, it's going to be cold tomorrow morning, but it'll also continue to stay below freezing all the way through Saturday. Brief warm up to 40 degrees for Sunday, and that's as we get our next rain system. So clouds will be increasing for your Saturday. Still, though, expected to be dry. A nice day, but chilly. Highs in the lower 50s. We'll likely see rain chances increase, I think, mainly for the afternoon and evening for your Sunday. High temperatures still will be chilly in the lower 50s. Sunday is also our next full moon, courtesy of Dry Pro. Unfortunately, full moon will be at 4:02 a.m. and because of the clouds, I don't anticipate this being the best viewing weather. Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Stay weather aware for today, not only as the rainfall clears out, but it's going to be windy and turning cold by this evening. Temperatures will drop likely close to 30 degrees by the time you start off Thursday. We'll see sunshine though Thursday and Friday, warming up slowly into the lower 50s. Sunday bringing our next rain chance. Of course, that is the big Panthers versus Cowboys fan. We'll continue to fine tune that forecast as we head throughout the work week.
Many nonprofits are not seeing as many donations as they normally do. That includes We Rock, a Charlotte nonprofit that uses music to empower young people. But without enough money coming in, there are not enough scholarships for students. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bolden shows us how the organization is now left asking, where's the money?
We Rock is a nonprofit that's been around for 10 years. The idea, they help young people find their voice through music, but that's been getting harder and harder these days.
They may not look like a typical rock band, and that's kind of the point.
We Rock is very special because it really celebrates diversity, and all are welcome here, and we make that known.
We Rock Charlotte is celebrating 10 years of helping young people find their voice through music.
There we go.
The nonprofit holds camps and workshops and offers lessons on the guitar, the drums, you name it.
Walking into the We Rock space feels like walking home. I come and I get to play music, which is the thing I feel strongest about in the whole world.
15-year-old Avery Duncan started with We Rock at a camp when she was just 11. She says the organization changed her life, maybe even saved it.
I feel like I'm in a safe space. If you don't have spaces that you feel safe in, you don't feel welcome, you don't feel like you're worthy of being a person. So you need places where you can go and be yourself.
We serve a lot of kids with ADHD, autism, things of that nature, and celebrate everybody here. And so it's a really cool place to just come be yourself and be celebrated and feel safe and welcome.
Crystal Baller helped found We Rock and says they work to make sure even when families can't afford lessons or instruments, teens can still partake.
We can give scholarships to kids that don't have the instruments. We will get the instruments in their hands and they can play those instruments. And being able to have a creative outlet and a place, a nurturing space where you have adults around you supporting you, encouraging you to be creative and pushing you to that next level.
I have been on scholarships in previous years for different things. I'm not on one now, but I know what that feels like, and it can be difficult. Worrying about money isn't something that kids should have to do to be able to do something that they love.
If you'd like more information on any of We Rock's programs, or if you'd like to help out, check out our website. We've got all the information you need on WCNC.com. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bolden, WCNC Charlotte.
I believe the Part 150 update is a crucial step in modernizing Charlotte approach to noise mitigation, land use compatibility, airfield efficiency, and most importantly, safety. This update is long overdue.
Stillberry Acres represents a cautionary tale to other unsuspecting communities that will soon find themselves standing in our shoes. If you vote yes tonight, you are paving the way to triple flight paths, thus increasing the number of planes flying over our homes in many different directions and new directions.
Well, as you heard, mixed reaction tonight from community members and Charlotte leaders over a plan to change some of the flight paths at Charlotte Douglas. Now tonight, City Council voting to submit the noise compatibility study to the FAA. This does not mean change is coming overnight, though. If the FAA moves forward with the study recommendations, there will be more studies and then public outreach. That will take place over the next 2 to 3 years. Charlotte leaders also say that change needs to come after residents call for change to code enforcement and affordable housing here in Charlotte.
We have to begin to adjust to what's happening. There are too many of you out here that care deeply about this community for us to not do the things that we have the power to do.
And as CMPD works to find answers in this case, officers today announcing a new safety effort. The department says you can expect to see more police cruisers on the street with steady blue lights on. They say it's a way to let criminals know they're watching. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre joins us now live in Uptown with more. Jesse.
That's right. Well, CMPD says one thing they hear from community members is that folks want to see more police officers patrolling their areas. And they say that they're hearing that from folks across Charlotte. So the agency is stepping up.
Get ready to see more blue lights.
Whether they're driving or whether they're stationary, whether they're in a parking lot or on the roadway, whether they're on a call for service or not on a call for service, they're operating these steady blue cruise lights to enhance their presence.
It's part of CMPD's initiative called Heartbeat, on a mission to make the community feel safer and make their patrol cars more seen.
What we want to do is we want to be able to deter crime, but we also want to give people peace of mind.
This will be implemented in all CMPD divisions throughout the Queen City 24/7.
Here at CMPD,
Lieutenant Kevin Petrus says the steady blue lights is different than officers with flashing lights that often comes with a siren.
We do ask that if you see those flashing blue lights in the mirror behind you, to slowly and safely move to the right and stop your vehicle. And it could be that the officer is just trying to get by you, or it could be that they are stopping and contacting you for some other reason.
Folks I spoke to say it's efforts they appreciate.
If you see police, you feel safe. You feel that obviously the crime rate is low because they're not coming out when police are visible.
Any more presence to make people safer. You know, it's kind of a strange world we're living in today. So if people feel safer, they're going to come downtown. You know, they're going to come uptown. They're going to spend a little more money, go to baseball games, football games, and maybe a show. And if people feel safe, then I think that's important, especially for the businesses.
Now, CMPD says this will not cost them anything extra, and it doesn't mean any extra manpower as well. These are officers who are already on patrol, and while they're in their cruisers, will click a button and have their blue lights shine and have their visibility stronger. Live in Uptown, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Yeah, safety, the name of the game, Jesse. All right, thank you for the update.
Tonight, we're taking a look at a non-traditional path that has led to success and some success stories where we live.
That's right. It's an apprentice program offered by the Charlotte nonprofit Road to Hire. It actually works with underrepresented students right here in our local communities. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden has this amazing story showing us how they're seeking solutions and getting more people hired.
The students work as apprentices at big-name companies all across Charlotte. We're talking about Lowe's, Ally, and right here at Duke Energy's Innovation Center. 25-year-old Taylor Warren was working odd jobs trying to support her little ones.
I was doing retail, I was doing some customer service over the phone, and just knew that wasn't going to be the way for that long. So I was like, I need to do something that's a little bit different.
In fact, she did something a whole lot different. Warren is a Road to Hire apprentice.
The goal of the program is to get young adults in hiring in careers, particularly in tech, again, software engineering. We've done business analytics, cybersecurity in the past. So the real focus is just giving them that opportunity to kind of level up in their respective careers.
Is the idea that not everyone's meant for college and that there are other paths to take?
Yes, absolutely.
Some of the apprentices come right out of high school, but they can also be as old as 26 when they start the program.
The whole purpose is to just give them that access that they may not have because they don't have a college degree.
Road to Hire then works with major companies like Duke Energy, Bank of America, and Ally to place the apprentices.
Because we recognize that most of those hiring careers are in tech, and when we look at the Charlotte region, tech is a growing area, growing field within the area. So we work with all of our corporate partners to train, maintain partnerships, and really provide that access to those job opportunities, but we're also working with those companies to fulfill a business need. So many of them are looking for that entry-level talent, and they work with Road to Hire.
Warren works as a software developer at Duke, where her supervisor says she is one of the best employees.
She's really good, and she's growing as well.
So those individuals are going into those respective roles, they're finding community, they're finding their sense of belonging, and they're growing within those companies, that we love to see it.
Sounds like they're finding their careers.
Yes.
I'm on a definite path. So after 2 years, I just feel like I want to keep growing. I want to keep learning about software development, but I'm ready to dive in and learn even more about the company Duke Energy and just about my own career path.
The application process is open now. If you're interested or know someone who might be, all the information you need is on our website, WCNC.com. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
And now our Seeking Solutions segments are a way to focus on how folks are addressing problems and taking positive steps to make our community a better place. So if you know an organization or an individual making an impact, we do want to hear about them. You can send us an email to newstips@WCNC.com. You can also reach out to any one of us on social media.
WCNC Weather Impact, your trusted source for winter weather and beyond.
We're committed to keeping you safe, informed, and weather aware.
From frost and freezes to snow, the WCNC Weather Impact team tells you the timing and the essentials you need to know. Get the up-to-date forecast on your schedule, always streaming on WCNC Plus.
Your Weather Impact team only on WCNC Charlotte.
Stream now on WCNC Plus.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense. The holidays are here, which means it's time for holiday shopping.
Holiday shopping got you stressed? Artificial intelligence might be the secret to simplifying your gift hunt. Let's connect the dots. AI chatbots like Amazon's Rufus or Shopify's Shop AI are designed to make holiday shopping easier. They act like virtual assistants that can help you find gifts, compare products, or locate deals. The benefits, they can help you save time, narrow down choices, and they're available 24/7. They can also help you discover new products you may not have thought of. However, they are not perfect. AI chatbots can hallucinate and recommend items that don't match your requests or give outdated pricing information. They also struggle to identify the lowest price or provide highly personalized suggestions. As the technology evolves, expect chatbots to get even smarter and learn more about your preferences. So next year, holiday shopping will be even faster and more personal. And that is connecting the dots.
Winter weather is creating chilling impacts nationwide. Tonight, people in parts of the Northeast are still digging out from several feet of snow that fell overnight. Meantime, other regions hit with a blast of cold air met with strong winds. Wind alerts have been in effect for millions. And the cold weather certainly felt over the past week here in our area. And the freezing temperatures are set to return overnight at higher elevations, which officials say poses a risk for frozen pipes.
Yeah, but not every trick will make you sure, of course, that your water still runs after a cold night. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies some ways to prevent plumbing mishaps.
Well, guys, Google search trends show a spike in searches for water pipes around this time. So to answer some of these questions, we went to these sources behind me: the American Red Cross, Protect Your Pipes, Blue Bear Plumbing, LG, and Whirlpool. Okay, let's take a look at the first question here. Can taking a hot shower during freezing weather cause pipes to burst? This is actually going to go in the false category. Now, according to the American Red Cross and Protect Your Pipes, running water through pipes can help prevent them from freezing. Even a trickle can help. All right, let's take a look at the next question here. Can shutting off your water while you are on vacation help prevent pipes from bursting during the winter? This is going to be true. Blue Bear Plumbing says standing water in your pipes is at risk for freezing. It's important if you do go on vacation and if you turn off your heat to shut off your water and make sure the water is absolutely drained. And finally, is it damaging to run appliances like your washing machine or dishwasher during freezing temperatures. Now, this needs context. It depends where your appliance is in your home. LG says locations for washers and other appliances that can be risky for freezing. Pipes include basements, garages, or along exterior walls. Both LG and Whirlpool say their appliances are safe and will work in cold temperatures as long as your pipes are not frozen. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
When severe weather impacts the Carolinas, you can help us tell the story.
Our radar helps to keep you weather aware, along with images like these. Here's how to send us a video or picture of conditions impacting your area.
Make sure you're in a safe spot. Take a picture or a video, then send it to the Near Me feature on our WCNC News app.
Your image could be part of our weather impact coverage. Download the WCNC News app now.
All right, let's get another check your WCNC weather impact forecast with meteorologist Becca Birdsall. Becca, it's rainy, it's gloomy, and pretty soon it's going to get cold.
Yeah, that's right. It's certainly been a nightmare if you've had to venture out traffic-wise, but we've got some changes on the way. And let's play a fun game called Can You Spot the Cold Front? Currently in the 60s right now in the Charlotte metro area, but dropping into the 30s for the mountains. That colder air will only continue to usher in as that cold front sweeps off to the east. That will not only dry us out, but it'll kick our winds up and make temperatures freezing cold by tomorrow morning. Live look outside from Boone, courtesy of resortcams.com. This is one of the areas that we're expected to see that transition from rain to snow in the next couple of hours as temperatures only continue to drop. And the cold front has actually hit the mountains. In fact, there's an active wind advisory for this area all the way from now until just after midnight tonight for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour at times. So combine that with not only the freezing temperatures, the wind, and the snow chances, those are hazardous driving conditions. So make sure to exercise caution if you do have to venture out. By 2-3 o'clock, temperatures in the mountains will likely drop below freezing with snowfall potential. And some of the highest elevations around 1 to 3 inches possible all the way from this afternoon into early tomorrow morning. Now today, rain is going to be moving out. It's going to be turning windy for everyone, not just the mountains. And overnight, temperatures dropping cold, likely below freezing across the area. And this weekend, bringing our next rain chance. Satellite and radar showing that drying trend, especially in our western counties. Still some heavy rain being hammered right now for some of our most eastern counties. This includes Wadesboro, Chesterfield, down into Rockingham, some pockets of heavy rainfall possible. And this is an area that has been seeing these training or stationary rain over the past couple of hours. So minor flooding and some ponding on the roadways certainly would not surprise me. So wipers on, lights on, that's going to be the motto as you head out the door for today. Over the next 36 hours, that cold front will only continue to slide through. Snow showers will begin later on tonight, and then a high pressure system will settle in, and that will keep things not only dry but also pretty cold as we head into the next few days. That cold front also going to crank up our winds again, not just in the mountains, but I think we could see gusts around 25 to 30 in the metro, calming down later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. But combine that with the colder temperatures, we'll likely see wind chills just this evening dip below freezing. 7 p.m. tomorrow morning gets even colder. You'll likely be stepping out the door with feel-like temperatures in the 20s, single digits possible for the mountaintop. So headed off for work or school, it's going to be cold tomorrow morning, but it'll also continue to stay below freezing all the way through Saturday. Brief warm up to 40 degrees for Sunday, and that's as we get our next rain system. So clouds will be increasing for your Saturday. Still, though, expected to be dry. A nice day, but chilly. Highs in the lower 50s. We'll likely see rain chances increase, I think, mainly for the afternoon and evening for your Sunday. High temperatures still will be chilly in the lower 50s. Sunday is also our next full moon, courtesy of Dry Pro. Unfortunately, full moon will be at 4:02 a.m., and because of the clouds, I don't anticipate this being the best viewing weather. Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Stay weather aware for today. Not only as the rainfall clears out, but it's going to be windy and turning cold by this evening. Temperatures will drop likely close to 30 degrees by the time you start off Thursday. We'll see sunshine though Thursday and Friday, warming up slowly into the lower 50s. Sunday bringing our next rain chance. Of course, that is the big Panthers versus Cowboys fan. We'll continue to fine tune that forecast as we head throughout the work week.
Hey folks, we are asking you to be weather aware as you start your Wednesday because just relentless rain out there. We're going to have a check Of the forecast coming up in just a second, but first, you may be wondering when you look at the radar, what the different colors mean. Right now, there's a lot of green, some yellow on there as well. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy explains in this week's Weather IQ.
When you're looking at the radar, you may be thinking, what does all this really mean? Well, I'm literally going to show you. Let's get out the umbrella in another Weather IQ. Let's start with green. Green has many different shades. Light greens can range from no rain, meaning it's raining above our heads but not hitting the ground, or it can vary from sprinkles to mist, drizzle, or a very light trace of rain. Now, when the radar shows a dark green, this is a solid light rain. Up to 1/10 of an inch of rain is possible over an hour. The windshield wipers will look like this, wiping every 3 seconds or so, and small puddles can form like this. But yellow is always consistent. Yellow looks like this. Moderate rain, where it can rain up to 3/10 of an inch per hour. Yellow means you need the umbrella. The windshield wipers are on a constant wipe, larger puddles start to form, and the rain over several hours can cause some significant ponding. But when the radar is showing orange, the rain officially is heavy. This is what orange looks like. Rainfall rates range up to over an inch per hour. The windshield wipers are cruising. Drains are active and significant ponding happens quickly. This rain is enough to flood sidewalks, streets, and yards, especially over a long period. Orange also reduces visibilities down to a mile or less. Check this out. Uptown Charlotte is barely visible at orange, but as the rain intensity downgrades to yellow then green, you can see more and more of the skyline. All right, time to get out the rain boots or else this could be you. This is what red looks like. Torrential downpours. Windshield wipers can't keep up, making it hard to see and drive it, with rainfall rates over 2 inches per hour. The red floods streets in seconds to minutes. Here's our parking lot after it rained the red for just 20 minutes. The drains are overwhelmed, causing the water to quickly rise. And heavy rain builds quickly. Here's a time lapse showing green going to red. This happened in less than 2 minutes. So stay dry, my friends. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy with WCNC Charlotte.
And there it all is.
Very helpful. There you go.
Our parking lot coming into work this morning, I needed boots. It was that much rain. You saw it from that report right there, and the rain continues to fall.
It does.
We mentioned this weather aware because the rain will take a look at the radar picture at the moment and show you the showers out there. Light to moderate rainfall around the region as we got some heavy rain along the I-40 corridor all the way from, say, Marion over to Morganton, then up Interstate 77 northbound. These are the estimated rainfall totals. Now, where you see a 0 doesn't mean they didn't get rain. Just we don't have a report in from those folks. Here in the Queen City, you can see 1.63. Up around the Hickory area, almost 3 inches of rain. So it was anywhere from about an inch to over 2.5 to 3 inches of rainfall over the past 24 hours, with more on the way. Now, this is in addition to what we already have. Some of the heavy rainfall this morning will be over east of here, over towards Wadesboro and Rockingham. They could get well over another inch and maybe another 3/10 of an inch in the Charlotte area before everything ends. As we see those raindrops go away. By 3 o'clock, we're looking at clearing skies. By 5 o'clock, you can see 48 degrees. And look at the drop in the temperatures. We go from the low 60s to 42 degrees at 7 p.m. So here's that hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow. Dry weather. Barely making it to 51 degrees for a high temperature over the next 7 days. Weather aware this morning. Looking to the weekend, the driest day is going to be on Saturday, the wettest day Sunday, and that's game day. Hopefully that helps the Panthers. Cowboys come to town. And then we are actually back into the low 60s Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Wow. It's wet out there this morning.
And it's definitely causing issues on the roads already. So
all
be
the
careful.
colors on the rainbow up there. Not with all the colors of the radar on that particular screen right there.
Lots of colors.
Yeah. Lots of rain.
No purple, but still.
Hopefully not.
That's right.
No purple rain today, for sure.
Never know what's going to happen then. All right, folks, keep it here, and we will see you back here tomorrow morning for another edition of WCNC Charlotte to Go.
See you then.
Right now, an investigation is underway after several boats are left in ruins following a massive fire at Lake Wylie. That fire erupted at Terry's Marina on Pine Harbor Road around 10 o'clock this morning. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre is joining us live there now. So, Jesse, you just heard from neighbors who say they witnessed this fire firsthand.
Yes, and actually it started right behind me where you see this dock, and you could actually appear to see some of that damage to the roof of the dock, and the boats that were in there have been since towed away. But neighbors that I spoke to say they saw large flames, they heard large bangs, and this was very concerning because of the close proximity of the fire to the homes in the area.
It was a sight visible for miles, a plume of smoke coming from a dock on Lake Wylie.
It's definitely out of the ordinary. As I started smelling smoke and started seeing trucks and ambulances, emergency equipment going down the road here, then I realized something was wrong.
The fire broke out early Monday morning, engulfing several boats docked at Terry's Marina. Witnesses say the flames quickly consumed the vessels, prompting several 911 calls.
My husband came upstairs and he yelled something and I didn't catch it. And then he said, "Carrie, the marina's on fire." And I said, "What?" So I went back there, I looked, the marina was definitely on fire.
Several emergency crews responded to the scene. Witnesses say the fire started under the dock before the boats were moved to the back cove area as firefighters worked to douse the flames. Carrie Greenwood, who lives nearby, says she heard one blast after another.
Oh, a bunch of explosions. You could just hear the gasoline or whatever they had down there just, popping off.
A blast in those videos. Now, no one was hurt during the incident. Mecklenburg County Fire Marshal's office is investigating it, working to determine the official cause of the fire. Now, we'll continue to follow all of this and give you updates as we get them. Live in Lake Wylie, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Jesse, thanks for those updates.
Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. As you continue your holiday shopping, you may notice a few people asking for one specific gift that promises big benefits.
Weighted blankets are making waves as a cozy way to combat anxiety and improve sleep. But do they really work? Let's connect the dots. Weighted blankets are often filled with beads or cotton to provide extra pressure. The weight mimics the sensation of a hug, which experts say may calm your brain's fight or flight response and even trigger oxytocin, a hormone that helps reduce anxiety. But they're not for everybody. Experts recommend picking a blanket about 10% of your body weight. They're also not safe for babies, toddlers, or people with certain health conditions like sleep apnea. But do they work? Research is limited. Some studies suggest weighted blankets do help with anxiety or chronic pain, while others show little impact. Still, experts say if you're curious and you can afford the $50 to $300 price splurge, it's worth a try. After all, if it helps you sleep better, that's a win. And that is Connecting the Dots.
WCNC Charlotte is making a difference with your help. When you share your news tips, we go to work.
I sent you that email. 15 minutes later, you're responding to me.
When a Charlotte woman battling cancer lost her health coverage, we demanded answers.
Within hours of WCNC Charlotte asking questions, the agency responsible quickly corrected its mistake.
Let us get to work for you.
Reach out to news tips at WCNC.com. WCNC Charlotte, news that impacts you.
Warming options across South Carolina are opening up just in time. State leaders say with the temperature dropping, they're seeing an influx of people being impacted.
Yeah, that's right. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King spoke with officials at some of the shelters and joins us live now from Rock Hill. Anna, what are they stressing right now?
Well, I went to Lancaster and York County today and spoke with leaders about the need. And they mentioned that with the homeless epidemic, many counties across South Carolina are seeing they knew to prepare early.
The homeless situation in Lancaster County is problematic.
So we also have respite throughout the day, so we have an increase of the number of individuals who comes to the shelter.
With temperatures hitting hard lows, shelters and warming centers across South Carolina are gearing up for an increase in foot traffic.
We make sure we have enough chairs for them to sit, and we just have enough staff members on site as well.
Lancaster County has seen a 14% increase in homelessness compared to last year. They say they've been doing what they can to help those people out, but with more people, it's getting costly.
We have been putting people up in hotels, but that's, expensive and limited.
The Bethel shelter in Rock Hill says they're seeing the same trend and say they see an even bigger need on days where there's less help.
There's no public transportation here in Rock Hill on Sundays, so those experiencing homelessness tend to come here and hang out here.
Both shelters say while the temperature stays below freezing, they're open for people to drop by and catch their breath. And these shelters also mentioned with the influx of people stopping by, they're in need of volunteers. So to find out how you can help, you can head to our website at WCNC.com. Live in Rock Hill, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Definitely important as it gets really, really cold outside.
That's right. Thank you, Anna.
Tonight, we're highlighting a story of champions, not just on the football field, but in the classroom as well. Earlier this year, we introduced you to the team at Forest Hills High School, whose head coach has been drawing up game-changing plays for his students, both on and off the field. Now, the Yellow Jackets are preparing for a big matchup in the 4th round of the playoffs. They take on Brevard tomorrow night. So WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris is hearing from the players for the first time about this unique approach.
He's been a good role model for me.
Hey, Sam, set over here so returners will be over that way.
If there's one thing Coach Jamie Deese understands about his players, it's that a healthy mindset can go a long way.
For us, we've always talked about it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
As Coach Deese and his team get set for round 4 of the playoffs,
How do you feel about today? Are you
it's clear they're maintaining success with each play.
There you go, Danny.
But also in life.
We stress academics.
Their academic success through the roof. Back in March, Coach Deese told us that there's more than 20 kids with a GPA over 4.0, and the entire team has an average GPA of 3.5. We asked the players, what's working?
Honestly, more of a mindset, more so than our play calls and our offense and defense as a whole, is our mindset as a team.
Because slot's going to get bracketed, right? You know
Coach Deese drives his staff to be role models and to lead by example.
Good. Nice. That's it. Good. Good.
He's a guy I look up to as a mentor and as a tutor in the way of life and morality and how I should live my life outside of the game of football, in the classroom, and with everything that I do.
That's my point.
That accountability rubbing off in the locker room.
Success.
Good, 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 good. Get there. Good, good.
Being happy with myself, being happy with my accomplishments, just being, glad with what I did.
Building champions on the field and in life.
Whether that be in the classroom, in a hospital, I want to be pre-med, I want to go study medicine. So whether that be in a hospital, classroom, on the field, in the community, serving God, serving others is my ultimate goal. And I think if I do that successfully, I will be successful in life.
Roll the States on me. Roll the States on 3. 1, 2, 3. Roll the States.
In Marshville, Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
When severe weather impacts the Carolinas, you can help us tell the story.
Our radar helps to keep you weather aware, along with images like these. Here's how to send us a video or picture of conditions impacting your area.
Make sure you're in a safe spot. Take a picture or video, then send it to the Near Me feature on our WCNC News app.
Your image could be part of our weather impact coverage. Download the WCNC News app now.
Developing tonight in Chester County, a community in shock after a fire torched a beloved church. Dozens of fire crews rushed to Mount Zion AME Zion Church in Catawba last night to put it out. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre spoke to church leaders as they worked to figure out the next steps.
This wasn't just a church, it was a place of worship and a sanctuary for many. And although the flames destroyed the building, the Reverend tells me the church's spirit and heart remain strong. From the ashes of tragedy, a Chester church is left in ruins.
Last 12, 16 hours, it's been full of emotion, the ups and the downs. It's also grief because it's a loss to us, and there's a lot of history here.
Reverend Andre Showers of Mount Zion AME Zion Church says the structure built 40 years ago was home to a congregation with a rich history spanning over 150 years.
It's a church, as I said, that's full of history. The land was donated years and years ago for the old church to be built, and as the church began to grow, they needed another sanctuary, so they built the structure behind us.
As fire crews battled the flames, they faced a storm of challenges with heavy wind, cold temperatures, and no fire hydrant in the area. Crews had to shuttle back and forth from the field site.
Older buildings burn a lot quicker, and it's got some new material in it as well, so it had so much fuel just of the material that was already there just from the structure.
The remains, charred wood, shattered windows, and a collapsed roof. The scene nothing short of heartbreaking.
Everything was burning up. I mean, it was like engulfed with flames. So it was just devastating to see the things that you've been working toward and seeing a vision come to fruition, to see it all going up in flames.
A loss for a community that has poured its heart and soul into their church.
They've really sacrificed a lot in the past couple of years to get the church back on track and to make sure that it has what it needs.
Even in the face of tragedy, Reverend Showers says they will rise and their faith remains unshaken.
We put our faith and we put our trust in God, and that's who we believe in. And we know that he's going to sustain us and carry us through.
Investigators with SLED are working to determine the cause of the fire, making sure there is no foul play, which is standard protocol for church fires. Now, the church leadership says early signs point to a possible electrical issue, but nothing has been confirmed. Meanwhile, Reverend Showers says they will rebuild and are thankful for the outpouring level of support they have received. In Chester, Jessie Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, November is National Epilepsy Awareness Month, and now a local 8th grader is using her diagnosis to make a difference.
Yeah, she's turned her journey into a children's book that's helping others understand the challenges and the triumphs of living with epilepsy. WCNC Charlotte's Sarah French has her story.
This one says, heavy feelings in your body sometimes show by your heart beating fast, sweating, or butterflies in your stomach.
Emery Gunther, an 8th grader from Mooresville, was diagnosed with epilepsy when she was in 4th grade. Facing fear and uncertainty, she found strength and a way to share her story with the world.
Me and my mom had gone to the library when I was first diagnosed, and there were not many children's books on epilepsy at all. So I decided that that project was a great opportunity for me to write my book.
Her book, titled Sky's Strength, is a story that mirrors her own experience, but told through the lens of a different character, one inspired by
nature theme.
Right now, an investigation is underway after several boats are left in ruins following a massive fire at Lake Wylie. That fire erupted at Terry's Marina on Pine Harbor Road around 10 o'clock this morning. WCNC Charlotte's Jessie Pierre is joining us live there now. So, Jessie, you just heard from neighbors who say they witnessed this fire firsthand.
Yes, and actually it started right behind me where you see this dock, and you could actually appear to see some of that damage to the roof of the dock, and the boats that were in there have been since towed away. But neighbors that I spoke to say they saw large flames, they heard large bangs, and this was very concerning because of the close proximity of the fire to the homes in the area. It was a sight visible for miles, a plume of smoke coming from a dock on Lake Wylie.
It's definitely out of the ordinary. As I started smelling smoke and started seeing trucks and ambulances, emergency equipment going down the road here, then I realized something was wrong.
The fire broke out early Monday morning, engulfing several boats docked at Terry's Marina. Witnesses say the flames quickly consumed the vessels, prompting several 911 calls.
My husband came upstairs and he yelled something and I didn't catch it, and then he said, Carrie, the marina's on fire. And I said, what? So I went back there, I looked, the marina was definitely on fire.
Several emergency crews responded to the scene. Witnesses say the fire started under the dock before the boats were moved to the back cove area as firefighters worked to douse the flames. Carrie Greenwood, who lives nearby, says she heard one blast after another.
Oh, a bunch of explosions. You could just hear the gasoline or whatever they had down there just, popping off.
A blast in those videos. Now, no one was hurt during the incident. Mecklenburg County Fire Marshal's office is investigating it, working to determine the official cause of the fire. Now, we'll continue to follow all of this and give you updates as we get them. Live in Lake Wylie, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Jesse, thanks for those updates.
Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. As you continue your holiday shopping, you may notice a few people asking for one specific gift that promises big benefits.
Weighted blankets are making waves as a cozy way to combat anxiety and improve sleep. But do they really work? Let's connect the dots. Weighted blankets are often filled with beads or cotton to provide extra pressure. The weight mimics the sensation of a hug, which experts say may calm your brain's fight or flight response and even trigger oxytocin, a hormone that helps reduce anxiety. But they're not for everybody. Experts recommend picking a blanket about 10% of your body weight. They're also not safe for babies, toddlers, or people with certain health conditions like sleep apnea. But do they work? Research is limited. Some studies suggest weighted blankets do help with anxiety or chronic pain, while others show little impact. Still, experts say if you're curious and you can afford the $50 to $300 price splurge, it's worth a try. After all, if it helps you sleep better, that's a win. And that is Connecting the Dots.
WCNC Charlotte is making a difference with your help. When you share your news tips, we go to work.
I sent you that email. 15 minutes later, you're responding to me.
When a Charlotte woman battling cancer lost her health coverage, we demanded answers.
Within hours of WCNC Charlotte asking questions, the agency responsible quickly corrected its mistake.
Let us get to work for you.
Reach out to news tips at WCNC.com. WCNC Charlotte, news that impacts you.
Warming options across South Carolina are open just in time. State leaders say with the temperature dropping, they're seeing an influx of people being impacted.
Yeah, that's right. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King spoke with officials at some of the shelters and joins us live now from Rock Hill. Anna, what are they stressing right now?
Well, I went to Lancaster and York County today and spoke with leaders about the need. And they mentioned that with the homeless epidemic, many counties across South Carolina are seeing they knew to prepare early.
The homeless situation in Lancaster County is problematic.
So we also have respite throughout the day, so we have an increase of the number of individuals who comes to the shelter.
With temperatures hitting hard lows, shelters and warming centers across South Carolina are gearing up for an increase in foot traffic.
We make sure we have enough chairs for them to sit, and we just have enough staff members on site as well.
Lancaster County has seen a 14% increase in homelessness compared to last year. They say they've been doing what they can to help those people out, but with more people, it's getting costly.
We have been putting people up in hotels, but that's, expensive and limited.
The Bethel shelter in Rock Hill says they're seeing the same trend and say they see an even bigger need on days where there's less help.
There's no public transportation here in Rock Hill on Sundays, so those experiencing homelessness tend to come here and hang out here.
Both shelters say while the temperature stays below freezing, they're open for people to drop by and catch their breath. And these shelters also mentioned with the influx of people stopping by, they're in need of volunteers. So to find out how you can help, you can head to our website at WCNC.com. Live in Rock Hill, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Definitely important as it gets really, really cold outside.
That's right. Thank you, Anna.
Tonight, we're highlighting a story of champions, not just on the football field, but in the classroom as well. Earlier this year, we introduced you to the team at Forest Hills High School, whose head coach has been drawing up game-changing plays for his students, both on and off the field. Now, the Yellow Jackets are preparing for a big matchup in the 4th round of the playoffs. They take on Brevard tomorrow night. So WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris is hearing from the players for the first time about this unique approach.
He's been a good role model for me.
Hey, Sam, set over here so returners will be over that way.
If there's one thing Coach Jamie Deese understands about his players, it's that a healthy mindset can go a long way.
For us, we've always talked about it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
As Coach Deese and his team get set for round 4 of the playoffs,
How do you feel about today?
it's clear they're maintaining success with each play.
There you go, Danny.
But also in life.
We stress academics.
Their academic success through the roof. Back in March, Coach Deese told us that there's more than 20 kids with a GPA over 4.0, and the entire team has an average GPA of 3.5. We asked the players, what's working?
Honestly, more of a mindset, more so than our play calls and our offense and defense as a whole, is our mindset as a team.
Because slot's going to get bracketed, right? You know
Coach Deese drives his staff to be role models and to lead by example.
Good. Nice. That's it. Good. Good.
He's a guy I look up to as a mentor and as a tutor in the way of life and morality and how I should live my life outside of the game of football, in the classroom, and with everything that I do.
That's my point.
That accountability rubbing off in the locker room.
Success.
Good, 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 good. Get there. Good, good.
Being happy with myself, being happy with my accomplishments, just being, glad with what I did.
Building champions on the field and in life.
Whether that be in the classroom, in a hospital, I want to be pre-med, I want to go study medicine. So whether that be in a hospital, classroom, on the field, in the community, serving God, serving others is my ultimate goal. And I think if I do that successfully, I will be successful in life.
Roller States on me, Roller States on 3. 1, 2, 3. Roller States!
In Marshville, Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
When severe weather impacts the Carolinas, you can help us tell the story.
Our radar helps to keep you weather aware, along with images like these. Here's how to send us a video or picture of conditions impacting your area.
Make sure you're in a safe spot. Take a picture or video, then send it to the Near Me feature on our WCNC News app.
Your image could be part of our weather impact coverage. Download the WCNC News app now.
Developing tonight in Chester County, a community in shock after a fire torched a beloved church. Dozens of fire crews rushed to Mount Zion AME Zion Church in Catawba last night to put it out. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre spoke to church leaders as they work to figure out the next steps.
This wasn't just a church, it was a place of worship and a sanctuary for many. And although the flames destroyed the building, the Reverend tells me the church's spirit and heart remain strong. From the ashes of tragedy, a Chester church is left in ruins.
Last 12, 16 hours, it's been full of emotion, the ups and the downs. It's also grief because it's a loss to us, and there's a lot of history here.
Reverend Andre Showers of Mount Zion AME Zion Church says the structure built 40 years ago was home to a congregation with a rich history spanning over 150 years.
It's a church, as I said, that's full of history. The land was donated years and years ago for the old church to be built, and as the church began to grow, they needed another sanctuary, so they built the structure behind us.
As fire crews battled the flames, they faced a storm of challenges with heavy wind, cold temperatures, and no fire hydrant in the area. Crews had to shuttle back and forth from the field site.
Older buildings burn a lot quicker, and it's got some new material in it as well, so it had so much fuel just of the material that was already there just from the structure.
The remains, charred wood, shattered windows, and a collapsed roof. The scene nothing short of heartbreaking.
Everything was burning up. I mean, it was like engulfed with flames. So it was just devastating to see the things that you've been working toward and seeing a vision come to fruition, to see it all going up in flames.
A loss for a community that has poured its heart and soul into their church.
They've really sacrificed a lot in the past couple of years to get the church back on track and to make sure that it has what it needs.
Even in the face of tragedy, Reverend Showers says they will rise and their faith remains unshaken.
We put our faith and we put our trust in God, and that's who we believe in. And we know that He's going to sustain us and carry us through.
Investigators with SLED are working to determine the cause of the fire, making sure there is no foul play, which is standard protocol for church fires. Now, the church leadership says early signs point to a possible electrical issue, but nothing has been confirmed. Meanwhile, Reverend Showers says they will rebuild and are thankful for the outpouring level of support they have received. In Chester, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, November is National Epilepsy Awareness Month, and now a local 8th grader is using her diagnosis to make a difference.
Yeah, she's turned her journey into a children's book that's helping others understand the challenges and the triumphs of living with epilepsy. WCNC Charlotte's Sarah French has her story.
This one says, heavy feelings in your body sometimes show by your heart beating fast, sweating, or butterflies in your stomach.
Emery Gunther, an 8th grader from Mooresville, was diagnosed with epilepsy when she was in 4th grade. Facing fear and uncertainty, she found strength and a way to share her story with the world.
Me and my mom had gone to the library when I was first diagnosed, and there were not many children's books on epilepsy at all. So I decided that that project was a great opportunity for me to write my book.
Her book, titled Sky's Strength, is a story that mirrors her own experience, but told through the lens of a different character, one inspired by her love for nature.
We just wanted to go with like a nature theme because me and my family love to go hiking and stuff.
But writing wasn't the only part of this journey. Emery had to navigate self-publishing and even found a way to make it extra special by having her cousin illustrate the book.
It was just extra special with her being like family and stuff, and she's a really great artist.
The book also serves a dual purpose. It doesn't just tell a story, but also provides tips for children and families on coping with epilepsy.
Through that experience, Emery learned a lot of coping skills, one of which is, slow breathing, tracing your hand. She talks about that in her book, inhaling as you go up and exhaling as you go down. Also just some grounding techniques, like looking around, finding 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, and bringing you back to what's happening right now, not all the what ifs that epilepsy can bring.
For Emery, one of the most important parts of this journey was the chance to finally share what she called her secret with her friends and classmates.
We actually made cake pops, like purple cake pops, and brought them into class, and I was like, thank you for supporting me.
Living with epilepsy hasn't been easy, and the fear of seizures is something Emery still faces.
It's very challenging and scary. That's probably my worst fear. Just like shaking. That's scary.
Emery's story has inspired others, and she hopes her book will find its way into more hands. Her mother, Leah, has seen firsthand how this project has helped Emery and hopes it can serve as a support for other families too.
Learn some of the big words, like what does an EEG even mean? Or what is a seizure? Just to support people any way that we can.
And that's exactly what Emery hopes Sky's Strength will bring to others. A reminder that even in the face of challenges, you can find strength. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.
Yeah, someday, somewhere, somebody's going to reach out and thank her for her bravery telling her story.
Yeah, lets folks know that they're not alone.
Certainly so. It's going to resonate with so many out there. If you're interested in getting a copy of Emery's book, go ahead and scan the QR code on that screen.
If you by chance don't have your phone on you, you can also find the book details inside our mobile app and on our website.
All right, let's get another check of your WCNC weather impact forecast with meteorologist Becca Birdsall. Becca, it's rainy, it's gloomy, and pretty soon it's going to get cold.
Yeah, that's right. It's certainly been a nightmare if you've had to venture out traffic-wise, but we've got some changes on the way. And let's play a fun game called Can You Spot the Cold Front? Currently in the 60s right now in the Charlotte metro area, but dropping into the 30s for the mountains. That colder air will only continue to usher in as that cold front sweeps off to the east. That will not only dry us out, but it'll kick our winds up and make temperatures freezing cold by tomorrow morning. Live look outside from Boone, courtesy of resortcams.com. This is one of the areas that we're expected to see that transition from rain to snow in the next couple of hours as temperatures only continue to drop. And the cold front has actually hit the mountains. In fact, there's an active wind advisory for this area all the way from now until just after midnight tonight for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour at times. So combine that with not only the freezing temperatures, the wind, and the snow chances, those are hazardous driving conditions. So make sure to exercise caution if you do have to venture out. By 2-3 o'clock, temperatures temperatures in the mountains will likely drop below freezing with snowfall potential. And some of the highest elevations around 1 to 3 inches possible all the way from this afternoon into early tomorrow morning. Now today, rain is going to be moving out. It's going to be turning windy for everyone, not just the mountains. And overnight temperatures dropping cold, likely below freezing across the area. And this weekend, bringing our next rain chance. Satellite and radar showing that drying trend, especially in our western counties. Still some heavy rain being hammered right now for some of our most eastern counties. This includes Wadesboro, Chesterfield, down into Rockingham, some pockets of heavy rainfall possible. And this is an area that has been seeing these training or stationary rain over the past couple of hours. So minor flooding and some ponding on the roadways certainly would not surprise me. So wipers on, lights on. That's going to be the motto as you head out the door for today. Over the next 36 hours, that cold front will only continue to slide through. Snow showers will begin later on tonight, and then a high pressure system will settle in, and that will keep things not only dry, but also pretty cold as we head into the next few days. That cold front also going to crank up our winds again, not just in the mountains, but I think we could see gusts around 25 to 30 in the metro, calming down later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. But combine that with the colder temperatures, we'll likely see wind chills just this evening dip below freezing. 7 p.m. tomorrow morning gets even colder. You'll likely be stepping out the door with feel-like temperatures in the 20s, single digits possible for the mountaintop. So headed off for work or school, it's going to be cold tomorrow morning, but it'll also continue to stay below freezing all the way through Saturday. Brief warm up to 40 degrees for Sunday, and that's as we get our next rain system. So clouds will be increasing for your Saturday. Still, though, expected to be dry. A nice day, but chilly. Highs in the lower 50s. We'll likely see rain chances increase, I think, mainly for the afternoon and evening for your Sunday. High temperatures still will be chilly in the lower 50s. Sunday is also our next full moon, courtesy of Dry Pro. Unfortunately, full moon will be at 4:02 a.m. and because of the clouds, I don't anticipate this being the best viewing weather. Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Stay weather.
Members will take their seats. Visitors retire from the chamber. The sergeant at arms will close the doors. Members and visitors are asked to please silence all electronic devices. This evening's prayer will be offered by Representative Winslow. We'd ask our members as well as our guests in the gallery to please stand for the prayer and to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance thereafter. Representative Winslow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, Lord. We love you and thank you. Thank you for the blessings you've given us, and thank you for the challenges that help us grow closer to you. Thank you for the honor and the blessings to serve our great state of North Carolina. Help us not to forget that you made us few out of many to do your will. Lord, I pray for those that do not know Christ. Send us out each day to do your will so that others will know your word and his salvation. Please watch over us, guide us, and lead us. We love you and thank you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The gentleman from Caldwell, Representative Hall, is recognized for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, the journal for December 9th has been examined and found to be correct. I move that it be approved as written.
Representative Hall moves the journal for December 9th be approved as written. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the journal is approved as written. Representative Hall is recognized to send forth committee report. Clerk will read.
Representative Dustin Hall, Rules Calendar and Operations of the House Committee Report. Senate Bill 921, Constitutional Amendment, require photo ID for all voters. Favorable.
Calendar, without objection, today's calendar, so ordered. Members, Representative Drakeford submitted a resolution memorializing the life of former member Kelly Alexander. The resolution contained the full Mecklenburg delegation as primary sponsors, exceeding the maximum number permitted under our rules. However, the chair would ask without objection that the clerk be ordered to, number one, file the resolution notwithstanding the sponsorship rule to allow that, and second, that the resolution receive its first reading today and be added to today's calendar. Is there any objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. So let's go ahead and resolve at least the following. Introduction of the bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
Representatives Drakeford, Carney, Cunningham, Majid, Cotham, Autry, Belk, Bradford, Harris, Lofton, Logan, Terry Brown, and Budd. House Joint Resolution 1082, a joint resolution honoring Kelly Alexander, former member.
Calendar. Senate Bill 921, the clerk will read.
Senators Hayes, Daniel P. Newton. Senate Bill 921, a bill to be entitled Constitutional Amendment Require Photo ID for All Voters, the General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
The gentleman from Iredell, Representative Mills, is recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, members. Senate Bill 921 is very straightforward. The bill would submit to the voters the question of whether to amend the North Carolina Constitution to require voter photo identification for all voters. That's in person and absentee. I ask for your support.
For what purpose does the lady from Guilford, Representative Harrison, rise?
To debate the amendment.
The lady has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll keep this brief, and I appreciate Representative Mills' remarks, but I just want to point out that this bill is not necessary. We don't need a constitutional amendment. We already have a statute that covers this issue. It should be noted that our absentee ballot requirements now are the strictest in the nation. I also want to know why we would put into a constitution an amendment that we know establishes a flawed process. The Rules Committee heard testimony from an individual who had worked the nonpartisan voter protection hotline. There were a number of, and I saw this myself when I was working the polls, there was an enormous amount of confusion amongst both the voters and the poll workers in terms of what was an acceptable form of voter ID. And this has more than almost 500 voters who are disenfranchised because they didn't meet the voter ID requirement as interpreted by the local poll workers. And this is the in-person voter ID. I will add that there's some speculation that this constitutional amendment is actually meant to get into the way of some litigation related to the usurper doctrine. The case is NAACP v. Moore, which is in the middle of a discovery process. So for these reasons, I would encourage you to vote no. Thank you.
Further discussion, further debate? If not, the question before the House, passage of Senate Bill 921 on second reading. Those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. Clerk will open the vote. Representative John available. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 73 having voted in the affirmative, 45 in the negative. Senate Bill 921 passes second reading without objection. Be read a third time.
The General Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Question before the House, passage of Senate Bill 921 on third reading. Those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. Clerk will open the vote. Yes, we'll excuse the absence to Representative John. The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 73 having voted in the affirmative, 45 in the negative. Senate Bill 921 passes its third reading. That bill, Mr. Clerk, is ordered enrolled. Representative Reeves, would the gentleman approach the dais, please? As well as the Rules Chairman and the Majority Leader.
Right now, an investigation
Senators
is underway after
Perry,
several
Corbin,
boats
and
are left
Johnson.
in ruins
Senate Bill
following a massive
382,
fire
a
at
bill
Lake
to be
Wylie.
entitled Assembly of North Carolina enacts.
Members, in terms of debate on this bill, the chair just conferred with the Democratic leader, the Republican leader, and the rules chair, and has an agreement among the parties on this one. The debate will be limited to 2 individuals. On the Democratic side, it will be Representative Reeves for a period of up to 7 minutes. Representative Ager will have a period of up to 5 minutes to speak to the bill. The same will be extended to the majority side, so there will be equal time. I'll let the majority leader or the rules chair advise which other member other than the rules chair would like to carry to speak to the override, and I'll do that. But we're going to apply that rule. And we did have significant debate on this bill. As remember, it went for several hours. But we know the chair is aware of several folks who have some issues this afternoon, health-wise and whatnot. So trying to be mindful of that, as well as we have some family members for the resolution that will be following that. So that will be the order of business in terms of this. So if any other members seek the floor, the rules shall be recognized for the motion for previous question, but the chair would simply ask, based on this agreement, that members please comply with that on both sides of the aisle. So with that, at this time, for a motion, the gentleman from Caldwell, Representative Hall, is recognized first for a motion, then to debate the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House pass Senate Bill 382, Disaster Relief 3, Budget Various Law Changes, notwithstanding the objections of the governor.
The gentleman has moved that the House do override the veto to Senate Bill 382 and has the floor to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I won't go long in debating the various merits of the bill because we've already done that as a body when we were here when we passed it the first time. But I will speak to a couple of things that I've heard in the media, some things that I frankly think were framed incorrectly. And the first deals with disaster relief in this bill. Those of you who have been here before this session, have been through hurricane relief before, understand that the way that this body's handled hurricane relief has been similar to the way that it's been handled in the past. We've had many hurricanes in eastern North Carolina. And typically those hurricanes cause such damage to the state that it's not possible for the state alone to meet that burden. And that's why Congress, time after time, in natural disasters across the country, comes in and passes funding to go to those affected states. And that's what I think is going to happen here. I spent all day yesterday in D.C. talking to our federal delegation, including both of our U.S. senators, and we've got every indication that help is on the way, and on the way very soon, probably by Christmas, by the end of this month, and we anticipate getting maybe $25 billion or so. And that's the kind of money that it's going to take to make a material impact on the disaster in western North Carolina. And I've been out there too, been to some of your districts to see the devastation. Some of you all have lived it, as Representative Dudley Green has, who went with me yesterday to D.C. to make our case to our folks in Congress. It's probably a $50 billion problem. Hurricanes generally do cost tens of billions of dollars, and no state, no matter how fiscally well they handle things, can possibly meet that kind of burden. And so what we do as a state is what we've done this time. We come in and we pass a bill to try to meet at least some immediate relief for those folks who are most affected. And this body now has passed roughly $1 billion in funding for storm relief for western North Carolina. After our vote, when we were here a few weeks ago, I found out from central staff that of the money that we've already appropriated for storm relief, maybe somewhere around half, if that, has been spent thus far. Not only just spent, or even committed this far. And that's because after a storm, as we've dealt with many times before, you can send all the money in the world to it immediately. But you've got to go out and figure out where the need lies. And the damage area is so great that it takes time for folks to figure out where does the money need to go. And again, that's why the $1 billion we've already sent has not been spent. And we're now at least a couple of months out from the hurricane. And so it's nothing unusual the way this body's handled this particular storm relief, which is why it's so disappointing to see the arguments that some have made that this body is not taking care of our folks who have dealt with disaster. Well, let me tell you what I plan to do as we come into the next session. We're going to have to come in and take a look at the way NCORP and other groups deal with hurricane relief. We see now in eastern North Carolina, 8 years later, over 1,000 people are still living in a hotel or otherwise not having their homes rebuilt. We heard testimony a few weeks ago from the director of NCORP that essentially they'd lost hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't keep track of it. And that's not surprising from a government bureaucrat, but what's infuriating about it is when you're dealing with folks whose their sole job is to get people back in their homes. Think about 8 years of being out of your home. Eastern North Carolina is flat, a little bit easier to build there than it is in western North Carolina. The topography is more difficult. If it took them 8 years in eastern North Carolina and they're not done yet, I don't know that they'll ever be able to get western North Carolina built. So this body's got a duty to come in when we come in January, and we need to look into NCORP, and we're going to do that because it's a disgrace what's happened in the eastern part of this state. And as I've said before, it should be a national scandal. In my opinion, if the governor were a Republican, it would be a national scandal. But politics aside, the reality of it is it's Republicans and Democrats who don't have their houses in eastern North Carolina. It's Republicans and Democrats who lost their houses in western North Carolina. And what we've got to do as a body is come together to make sure that we fix that moving forward. And at the same time, you all know well, this state, right now we've got $5 billion or so in our disaster relief fund. We've appropriated roughly $1 billion of that. And so even if today we passed a bill sending $5 billion in hurricane relief to western North Carolina, the reality is the $1 billion that's already been sent has not even been spent. Again, it takes time to go in and help these folks in the best way. And I'm not at all confident that the current administration can do that. In fact, I know they can't. I'm hopeful the next administration will be able to do that. I've talked to Governor-elect Stein, expressed to him my desire to see a change up in the way those things are done. He's assured me that he'll do that, and I'll take him at his word. This body is entirely committed to helping the folks of this state in storm relief. And so in my opinion, what's happened is a political football has been made out of this bill that's passed towards the end of session. The other thing I'll mention is there's been some comments about balance of powers in the executive branch. And the reality is in this state, the Constitution gives this body the ability to make certain decisions. And the folks elected this body just as they did the governor or Governor-elect Stein coming in. And that's what we've done in this bill. The Board of Elections piece in particular, I'll speak to. You know, in a perfect world, I wish we could have equal numbers of folks from each party on each side of the board, the way the Federal Elections Commission does it, the way many states across our country do that. And we got that passed, and unfortunately, it's tied up in the courts. And so this body decided to go in a different direction. And it did it at the same time that we're seeing local boards of elections across the state approve voters who are obviously not eligible, people who have passed away before Election Day, for example. And that's not in dispute. That's happened, and it's been reported on over and over. And so my only desire, and I know the desire of, frankly, in my opinion, everybody sitting on this floor right now, is that the folks who are eligible to vote be registered and that their vote count. And it needs to be this body making those rules because that's how our system works. The General Assembly creates the law, the executive goes in and enforces it. And in this bill, part of the executive branch, which is the state auditor, will do that. I simply disagree with the way that the current State Board of Elections has handled things, preventing parties that are maybe on the right from getting on the ballot while helping while helping parties who are on the right get on the ballot, while making it very difficult for parties on the left to get on the ballot. And they've had to be sued by people like the Green Party to get on the ballot. And so my point is not to get into every potential example of what I see as abuse of the process by the Board of Elections, but my point is to say our desire simply is that the law be enforced as it's written, and no more and no less, and that folks be properly registered and that votes be properly counted. So I hope you'll override this veto. I know that there will be much more to come in storm relief in Western North Carolina, and we've got to continue to help those in Eastern North Carolina as well. Again, 8 years out, not back into their homes. When we come back in 2025, I expect to be the Speaker of this body, and I can tell you that my sole priority from day one is going to be that hurricane relief. We absolutely cannot let happen what's happened in the past. And every member of this body who wants to join me in that effort, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I'm going to work with you, because it's about helping folks get back into their homes. That's not about politics. This bill provides.
The chair would remind the folks in the gallery to please not interrupt the proceedings.
The folks in Western and Eastern North Carolina need our help. And this bill does more than just money. Hurricane relief is not just about money. I've talked about the money we've already sent and the fact that it's not already been spent, but it also provides things that really matter to folks with regulatory relief for Western North Carolina, delaying their payments on licenses and certain other issues that they shouldn't have to deal with while they're out of their homes, dealing with issues like building codes to make sure that people have a warm place to sleep while the state comes in and tries to help them. And if we don't override this veto today, those people will have to wait another at least 40 days to get that relief. And so I bet if you ask those folks who are there on the ground now, does that matter to them? I'll tell you that it does. This bill gives them that relief immediately. I hope you'll join me in voting to override the veto. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The lady from Buncombe, Representative Prather, is recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Diamond Brand, Bold Rock, Antique Tobacco Barn, Rough Life Dog Training Services, Smart Shop Self-Storage, Walgreens, Discount Tire, Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen, Hobbytown, Regeneration Station, Great Clips, Riverview Station, and the 60-plus artists that they house. Those are just some of the businesses that have closed so far, either permanently or indefinitely, just in Buncombe County. It is impossible to know how many businesses have actually closed. That's part of the devastation of this all. Some of them might have even thought they could initially survive, and then made the decision to permanently close based on the lack of any certainty coming from the legislature. And that's just our businesses. Let's look at some numbers. 103 lives lost. 74,000 homes damaged, and those are only the ones that have been recognized by FEMA so far. 5,000 households remain in transitional sheltering out of the 196,000 households that are eligible for it. 56 direct housing units currently in place. And none of that even touches the renters. Renters don't have access to the individual assistance funding. They would qualify under what's referred to as other needs assistance, of which $191 million has been allocated by FEMA so far. 17 disaster recovery centers still remain open. That number in and of itself shows you how we are still very much in response and recovery. Stacy is a single parent. She drives her son to and from East Asheville every day. Her son has special needs, and his local public school was unable to accommodate him for a full day. He's been thriving at his charter school. She can't make her car payment. She can barely make her rent. She was denied FEMA and is relying on local nonprofits to assist her to make ends meet. She wishes that she lived on a bus line, but she doesn't. She just wants to take her son to school without fear that her car will be repossessed. She needs more help. Zoe is in the service industry. She's worked at the Grove Park Inn for 2 years at the highest end restaurant there. It's been closed since September 27th and will not reopen until December 19th. 5 of her colleagues have already moved away from Western North Carolina because they simply could not afford to wait for help. She misses her coworkers who became like family. For individuals like Zoe, the majority of her annual income is earned from April to December. She's worried she won't be able to pay her bills or pay the rent. She needs more help. Tanya is a lifelong resident of Western North Carolina and lived in her home for 45 years. She lost everything from Hurricane Helene. She was told that she was approved for a FEMA trailer to be placed on her property for temporary housing. However, this was blocked because she's in a floodplain. She also cannot rebuild unless she is 10 feet above the water line. At over 80 years old, her long-term ability to traverse steps required for access would be challenging. She did all the right things. She owned her home, had homeowners insurance, had flood insurance, but they paid a meager amount that won't come close to allowing her to replace her home. She needs more help. Every legislator in this chamber has received hundreds, if not thousands, of emails asking us to sustain this veto. Please, please vote for Western North Carolina.
The gentleman from Buncombe, Representative Ager, is recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise again disappointed today. As we all know, Hurricane Helene just hit Western North Carolina. It was the deadliest hurricane that this state has seen since 1857. It's not just another hurricane. This is a different story. This bill just doesn't meet the moment, and it doesn't meet North Carolina's values. And we ought to vote to uphold the governor's veto. Our state's motto is something that I've always tried to live up to. Esse quam videre, to be rather than to seem. And this bill just seems to do something to help. It doesn't actually do it. And that's the real problem. The people of Western North Carolina, as you've heard here and have heard, yesterday and today, people need help. And this bill just doesn't get it to them. I realize we've put some money out there, but it hasn't gotten into the hands of the people that need it because it's not directed that way. It's directed to a lot of other institutions and governments and other things like that. In the mountains, this isn't a political issue. We're all on the same side in the mountains. People are suffering and they need help. In 2018, Hurricane Florence hit Duplin, and we Duplin and Onslow and Pender and Sampson and New Hanover and Brunswick counties. It was devastating, and the North Carolina General Assembly stepped in to help. Within 3 months of that disaster, the General Assembly allocated $1.5 billion for relief. We're now at the 3-month mark for Helene, and we know where we are. That money went to homeowner, to repair homes. That money went for affordable housing. It was funds for farmers. For Helene, which by all estimates that I've seen is about 3 times the value of Florence. And we've allocated 2/3 as much money at the 3-month mark just to balance the two against each other. I struggle every day and wondering what I'm supposed to tell my friends, my family, my neighbors, when I go down to Food Lion to pick up groceries. The only grocery store in my little community. Do I just tell them, what they already suspect? That we're just, too far away from Raleigh for the state to really pay attention? That's what they already think. That's what people in Western North Carolina think. Buncombe County's gone from the lowest unemployment in the state to the highest unemployment in the state in 3 months. And we've got businesses failing. We've got farmers trying to figure out what they're supposed to do with fields that are covered up in silt and soil and sand, and others that are just, bedrock. We had a committee meeting this morning, which is a good first step. But it's been 3 months. We've been down here a couple of times, and we should have done more sooner. We talk about figuring all this out. The people in North Carolina are tired of hearing that help is on the way. It's not coming. And that's the way people feel. So we've just got to do better. We're not here, to talk to each other and slowly drip money out. We know that flexible, quick money is how you get through disasters, and that's what we need to do. So I really would encourage everyone to vote to uphold this veto, and let's really get to work so that we get real money in the hands of real people who need it in Western North Carolina. Thank you.
The gentleman from Chatham, Representative Reeves, is recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One, for the folks that are here, I want you to understand a whole lot of us want to talk. We don't have that option. For those that don't follow the House, I think to say it was a negotiation is a little overstating. We get told what we're going to do, and that's kind of what we have to do. So I now have 1 minute and 43 seconds to tell you this simply. I have to push back a little bit at something I heard about making this political. This is called a disaster bill. If you look this up online, it says it's a disaster bill. We had a chance to help all North Carolinians today. We've had that opportunity twice now. We don't even have to come back for session at these times. So if we're coming back in the midst of the worst disaster that we have had in the history of this state, I would have loved for us to use this as an opportunity to put everything about our politics aside and maybe even show the country that the right thing to do is to worry about the people. We may have had other plans until the disaster hit, just like the people in Western North Carolina had other plans before the disaster hit. But when disasters hit, you recognize one thing: all that other stuff doesn't matter anymore. We need to help people get their lives back. That's what we should have been doing today. That's what we should have done a month ago. That's what I wish we would concentrate on. But what I've heard today is a focus on politics, and I am disappointed sorely. So I am sorry to the people of Western North Carolina that we did not take the opportunity that we had today to do the right thing by you, to decide that it's not worth the politics. But I will tell you in these last 10 seconds, there are at least 49 people here who have not forgotten what you're going through. And we're here for you, and we will keep fighting for you. Thank you.
And for the final speaker on this bill, the gentleman from Avery, Representative Green, is recognized to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the election provisions in this bill. My colleague has spoken on those eloquently, and I think they're adequately addressed. I want to speak to you a little bit about hurricane relief. September 25th of this year, we had a storm in Avery County. Our bridge, the water had come up to such a point where my family and I decided we needed to cross the creek to keep from being cut off. And fortunately, I have a sister that lives right over there. So we left the home place that both my sister and I had lived in as we were growing up and went over there. Got by fairly unscathed that night, although we recognized when we went back across the bridge to go back over there to the house, the water had already washed the pavement up off the driveway. So, and we were saying to ourselves, but the hurricane hadn't hit yet. It's still coming. So the next night, we'd already planned. We just need to go on over to my sister's house. And along about dark, that's what we did. We spent that night, and it was raining. Wind was blowing like crazy. We spent that night taking turns, getting up, looking to see, and I'm talking about now a creek that is 4 to 6 inches deep, usually, and about maybe 8 feet wide. And we began watching that thing. And we would get up every hour or two and look out. And there's 2 bridges there on that property. And the water gets over the low water bridge fairly regularly, and we always know that's the signal when we really need to pay attention to the high water bridge. And throughout the night, we looked and we said, well, it's not up to the high water bridge yet. So maybe we're going to get by this time. But we went on, and just about everybody in the house got up. My sister, my brother-in-law, my wife and I, my son, my daughter-in-law, actually her sister, and their dog. We were all piled up in there in my sister's house. Daylight came, and we said, well, maybe we're good. Maybe we're good. This thing's only supposed to last till about 11 or 12 o'clock today. Maybe we're going to get by. As the day went on, we kept saying that. As we watched that 8-foot wide creek get over down below our house, probably 50 feet wide, and rushing water. Somewhere along about 10 or 10:30, a culvert from a road above us appeared on our upper bridge. And when that happened, it had come down from the highway about a half a mile up the road. As I learned later, debris had dammed up behind it and caused it to actually blow out. And when it did, that storm surge came down the creek, and no longer was that upper bridge passable. That is only one time in 61 years I've ever seen it do that. But that bridge was not passable. But that storm surge and all that debris came down, and it took a 2-car garage down to the concrete pad. It threw it into the upper end of the house and threw 4 feet of water into that house. That night, of course, we had no way of knowing how extensive the damage was or how many areas were affected because we're at the headwaters of the Tow River. But you got to assume on down the river, it's had some impact. So we, shortly thereafter, the power went out. All communications were cut off. We ended up evacuating there to a shelter, Red Cross shelter, and thankfully it was close by. And sure enough, the storm stopped another hour, and we'd have probably gotten by. When we got back in there and we could see the water had started to recede, there was no power, there was no communication equipment, nobody could get any gas. I have a daughter who lives in Asheville. No way to get word to check on her. Just didn't know. So that night, my sister and my brother-in-law, of course, they had no power, they had no water. We spent the first night there in the church. The next day, we got word that we could probably get a cell signal, and there was gas if you went across the Tennessee line a little ways. So we went to get some gas, and we went to where we could get some cell service. My wife just basically had the clothes on her back. She hadn't brought a change with her. So we said, we're going to go on into Tennessee. We're going to try to get a room. We're going to try to get a good night's sleep. Maybe make a phone call to our daughter, see how she is, get word out to some other family, let them know we're okay. Maybe do some laundry, maybe buy a change of clothes. We went, there was not a room to be had. There was no room at the end. We discovered. Walmart was open though. We bought a few items of clothing, no rooms. We spent that night in the Walmart parking lot, Johnson City, Tennessee, in our car. We were able later that night or into the morning to get to a truck stop where we could do some laundry, get a hot meal, get a shower, and we headed back to begin our recovery. And when we got back and the waters had receded, we saw that our driveway had gullies in it that were probably 8 feet wide, 6 feet deep, I'm guessing. Debris against the bridges, that culvert, an 8 to 10 foot culvert was rested there on it. We had to basically cut our way across the bridge to make a footpath and then climb out of the driveway into the house only to find out there'd been 4 to 6 inches of mud in there. 4 feet of water had been in the house. Everything in the house under 4 feet, you forget it. It's gone. Look in your house sometime. Look at whatever's there under 4 feet. You don't realize how much is there under 4 feet. We were able to salvage a few things, but anything that was cloth, it wasn't solid, basically was gone. Now it was debris, had to be mucked out. So fortunately, we were able to get some help over the next coming days where we're able to cut the sheetrock out. We were able to muck the house out. We were able to get the carpet out. So hopefully right now we have a shell of a house. And we hope to go back there one of these days. But we were blessed in that I had that sister and she allowed us to come in there and pile in on her. And we stayed there for a month. So Freda, if you're listening, thank you. Now, I've heard help's not coming. But I'm going to tell you that from the day the hurricane happened, there was help there. Because we started looking up, and it wasn't necessarily the government, although local government was very involved, and I spent just about every day, sometimes 3 and 4 times a day, in contact with my local governments, trying to see if they were getting what they needed from the state, and the answer was usually always yes. There was a few times that they said, well, we need some help with this, or we need some help with that, and I made a phone call or two to some of the state agencies, and when that happened, the help was there. But volunteers, church groups, faith-based places, organizations were there. Help was there. I've heard help's not coming. It has been there in western North Carolina. And in my yard, hauling off debris, in my house, helping me get my appliances out. Help has been there. It's not as plentiful as it once was, obviously. The urgency of the thing has kind of died away a little bit. And I guess that's natural. But we are past, I think, and this is where we are past response and we're into recovery. And right there is the difference. The response has been great. And let me thank all those organizations, all those volunteers, all those state agencies, all those local governments that were in there and involved in this from day one. Thank you. You have been of a help. And a lot of that is because this body put in place, had the foresight years ago to direct some grants to some of these organizations that enabled them to be there. So to say we're not doing anything, we've done it, and we continue to do it. We've allocated money that hasn't had time to even be spent yet, and we'll allocate more, I'm sure. And Mr. Speaker, let me say thank you so much for your personal interest and dedication in this, because I represent 4 counties. And I know that the Speaker himself was on the ground there, interested in what was going on. What could he do to help? Were we getting everything we needed? And I appreciate so much your interest in this and your interest in trying to help us do the right things to recover correctly. And I have no doubt that you're going to take that to Washington with you. And I appreciate that so much. And it was an honor to be in Washington with you yesterday, and Speaker-elect Hall, where we got a commitment from certainly our North Carolina delegation, but other appropriators out there, that they're aware of what's happened here, and help's coming. But I'm from the mountains, just an old mountain boy. We don't have much experience with hurricanes. I know John Bell and some of you guys from the Flatlands have. And so I'm trying to listen to what you guys are saying and understanding that this is a different storm from the mountains, what we've got to recover from. But one thing that I have learned in this whole process is if we outrun the federal government on what we can get reimbursed for, we're not going to be able to leverage those federal dollars in order to do what is right for western North Carolina. And so I think that the folks who have dealt with these things before and have that understanding, and I appreciate them doing it, appropriations chairs, Representative Bell, you guys have been through this, you know how this federal reimbursement works, and I think this has been done in such a way that gives us the best chance to do that, because this is a $50 billion incident. North Carolina has a $30 billion budget per year. So if we took our whole next year's budget and every penny of reserve we've got, we don't have enough to pay for the recovery on this. And that is the bottom line about it. So I appreciate the thoughts that have gone in to each one of these allocations that's been made. And the one thing that I don't understand, and I've gotten some of the same emails you guys have gotten, is I don't know how us putting a stop to this $250 million today gets us any more tomorrow. I just don't understand that. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. But I don't know that there's going to be another bill right away. So let's get this done. Let's quit arguing over the politics of it. As you say, Representative Ager, Representative Prather, Western North Carolina needs the help. Let's get it for them. I'm going to vote to override this veto, and I hope you'll vote with me.
The question before the House is a motion that Senate Bill 382 become law notwithstanding the objections of the governor. All those in favor of overriding the veto will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 74 having voted in the affirmative and 44 in the negative. The motion carries. Having passed by the requisite 3/5 vote, the House has overridden the governor's veto, and the bill becomes law notwithstanding the governor's objections. The Senate's notified by a special message. To stay, but not to disrupt the proceedings of the House, and those who can't control themselves can leave out of either of those doors. We'll stand. Representative Majid, does the gentleman wish to be recorded as a no on the vote?
Sir.
Mr. Clerk, the gentleman from Mecklenburg will be shown as having voted no on the motion. Representative Robertson, is that the same request, sir? Representative Robertson will also be recorded as having, let me just double check and make sure it doesn't affect the outcome.
Okay, so did you get me? I don't know, you make sure. Did you? Yes. Bob.
Yeah. Members, the chair will re-announce those two vote changes. Representatives Majid and Robertson had initially voted aye, but advised the chair through motion they wanted to be recorded as no votes. That does not affect the outcome of the vote. Therefore, the chair has permitted both of those vote changes. So Representative Majid, Representative Robertson will be recorded as having voted no. Members, the next bill that we're going to take up, we're going to try to let the gallery be clear. House Joint Resolution 1082, the chair realized as this came up,
Mr. Speaker.
Hold on just a minute, that it was listed as a joint resolution it needs to be just a simple House resolution because the Senate is not going to be back in session. So that it can be enrolled, we need to modify it. So the chair, without objection, is going to direct that a corrected copy be prepared, designating the resolution as a House resolution as opposed to a House joint resolution. Now, for what purpose, and we'll take that, for what purpose does the gentleman from Guilford, Representative Quick, rise?
Inquiry of the chair.
The gentleman is recognized.
You announced the votes that changed, but did you say the tally, what they made the tally?
So the revised tally is, I believe it was 70, it would be 72 to 46, I believe is correct. 72 to 46, sir. Yes, sir, thank you. So members, we will go ahead and move on to what is now House Resolution 1082. The clerk will read.
Representatives Drakeford, Carney, Cunningham, Majid, Cotham, Autry, Belk, Bradford, Harris, Lofton, Logan, Terry Brown, and Budd. House Resolution 1082, a resolution honoring Kelly Alexander, former member. The House resolves.
The gentleman from Mecklenburg, Representative Drakeford, is recognized to debate the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to say what an honor it's been to serve with this body in the stead of Kelly Alexander. His family nominated me to serve in this capacity, the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. I'm sorry, I wasn't speaking loud enough.
I see you have your supervisor over there.
Yeah, she is very much. Thank you so much. So the Alexander family nominated me. The Mecklenburg County Democratic Party recommended that I serve in this capacity. It was affirmed by the governor who appointed me in October. You're familiar with that process, I'd imagine. You know, I just want to say a couple of things really about Kelly's background, and some of the other members of our delegation will talk about his service here and the relationships with him. You know, I thought about this opportunity, and I thought, you know, hey, you know, I'm a lot of things that Kelly's a lot of things I'm not. He's a sharp dresser. He's smart. He's funny. I'm not any of those things. But Kelly and I do share a lot of the same values and experiences. And I just thought I'd share those with you to give a little context to the man that he is. You know, many of you know that Kelly was a co-owner of a distinguished family-run funeral home in Charlotte, along with his brother Alfred, who's here today with his wife Helen, and our mutual good friend David Howard. Perhaps we ought to recognize them. Thank y'all for being here. Not now. Sorry, I'm new at this. So thank you. So just a little context for Kelly and his experiences outside of the house. You know, he ran a family-owned funeral home that his grandfather, Zachariah Alexander, founded in 1914 in Charlotte. It was the first African-American funeral home in Charlotte at a time when there were about 10,000 African-Americans. He was also an insurance executive, so that sounds like he was pretty smart to have a funeral home and sell insurance policies. But also, you know, he was a stalwart in the community. And, you know, he had two sons that really set the foundation for Kelly that I'd like to tell you a little bit about. So, of course, there is a Kelly Alexander Sr. who went to Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, a very distinguished institution whose legacy includes George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, and Tuskegee Airmen who served the country so admirably in World War II. Kelly was involved with the NAACP on a national level. He was the state director. He was on the national board of directors for the NAACP, actually chaired it for a period of time, and was the acting president for a period of time. So certainly great accomplishments, and he was a candidate for the Charlotte City Council in the 50s, was not successful, but he ran a couple times. Kelly and Alfred's uncle Fred went to Hampton University up in the Virginia Beach area, a very distinguished institution. And Fred Alexander became the first African-American member of the Charlotte City Council in 1965. He was the first African-American on the Charlotte Chamber of Commerce. He was the first African-American in the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party. So he was quite accomplished, to say the least, and he joined the North Carolina State Senate in 1974. So Kelly and his brother Alfred took over the business. Alfred says he did all the work, and while Kelly was up here serving the state. But, you know, it's really uncommon to see leadership in a family-owned and family-run business pass to one generation and certainly a third. In particular, you know, for those subsequent family members to share the same values that Kelly did, not just to be a businessman, but to be involved with the community civically and be a political leader, just like his father and uncle, is certainly a tremendous feat. You know, I said I'm very proud to serve in Kelly's seat, and Kelly and I have a couple of things in particular in common. We both graduated from West Charlotte High School. We both went to UNC Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels. Kelly and I both live in the neighborhood that we grew up in. Kelly grew up in University Park, which is precinct 25, and I grew up in University Park North, which is precinct 26. I tell you this for a reason. Kelly's uncle Fred was the chair of precinct 25 when precinct 16 split off. Our precincts have had someone in office since 1969, from either precinct 16 or 25, which is one time was one, for 55 years now. So it's a great honor for me to carry that legacy forward. You know, interesting enough, the person who first held this seat, 107, was the late, great Pete Cunningham, who was a neighbor of mine growing up, whose widow sits beside me today, Carla. Other members from our precincts include Charlie Danley, who was in both the House and Senate, Jim Richardson, who was in the Senate, and Nassif Majid had a Burger King in our precinct years ago. So we have a long history of accomplishments, and it's just an honor to be in this capacity. And it's an honor to serve in Kelly's stead, again, a business leader, civic leader, political leader. And I'm just really grateful for what he's done for the community, what he's done for the state. And in closing, it's just an honor to be in this capacity, and I'm sure some others would like to speak on Kelly's behalf. Thank you so much.
The lady from
And
Mecklenburg. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay.
The lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Carney, is recognized to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, it's been an emotional day in this chamber for a lot of people. Some eloquent speeches made. But right now, I rise to speak of a man that was an incredible man. And if you didn't get to know Kelly, you missed out. Kelly was not in this for himself. His life reflected that. One of the things that I admired about Kelly was he was one of those men that lived up to that expression, walk softly, but carry a big stick. You never saw the big stick, but you heard about it. You heard about it when it needed to be shown. Kelly, he was an interesting guy in many aspects. What I loved about him was from the first day he walked in this chamber after he was elected, and I was already a member, I noticed that he came in the gold doors, and he sat near the front every year that he was here, and he came down that aisle to his seat through the gold doors. Why don't you go out this way? Those are the doors we're supposed to use. When Kelly spoke on this floor, y'all listened. And he came before we had the computers on the floor, and people would listen. Then after the computers came, you would take your heads away from the computer and listen to him, because he knew how, he was an orator, and he knew how to pause in between his comments. And you would look up from your computer like, oh, I'm not listening. But he had a wonderful ability to connect with people. He stood for so many things, but one thing he stood for was that everybody should be treated equal and fair. The one thing I remember about Kelly is one of the bills that he ran, numerous bills, but one that he ran was to take out of our Constitution the requirement to take a literacy test before you could vote. He ran that bill time and time again. It did not get heard, but it would get heard and sent to the back, and he'd file a petition, discharge petition, and ask us to all go please sign it to get that magic number that it could be pulled and be heard again. Never happened. I have a feeling it's going to happen. It's going to happen because he's where now he can really make a difference, and you don't even know it. It's coming. But he was a fun guy, and I know my husband and I got to visit him when he left the hospital and went to a rehab facility. And we took him, well, at the hospital, we took him a giant Superman balloon. Giant. I couldn't even believe I carried it in the hospital, but we did. Because to me and to my husband, who knew him and his brother Alfred, we carried it because that's the kind of man we used to think of him. And his family, super people that never stopped trying to make a difference for the people in their lives and for equality. So today, when I got emotional when I started, I was sitting here listening to incredible speeches on this floor from everyone that spoke. And every one of them came from your heart. And I sat there thinking, what would Kelly have said today had he been here to speak about what was happening with this bill? We'll never know, but I have a feeling there are going to be some changes that he's going to have his hand in. So I ask you all today to please join in support of this resolution, and just to take a moment, if you knew Kelly, to reflect personally about him and get to know his family. Thank you.
What purpose does the lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Cunningham, arise?
Speak to the resolution, Mr. Speaker.
Please recognize to speak to the resolution.
Thank you. Today I stand before you to honor the memory of my dear friend and colleague, the late Representative Kelly Alexander, who was my colleague as well as my dear friend and seatmate. And guess what? His office was right next door to mine. And most of the times when I showed up to his office, I did not have an appointment, and he would let me in. Kelly carried with him a legacy of family deeply rooted in the civil rights movement, and he embodied those values of justice, equality, and compassion in everything he did. I had the privilege of sitting beside him each day, watching as he worked tirelessly for the people of the District 107 in Mecklenburg County. His commitment to fairness and the dignity of every person was evident in all of his efforts. Kelly did not have picks. He was quite introverted, but in a kind way. He didn't initiate conversations, so I made it a point when he became my seatmate to engage him, to make him talk, smile, and laugh. He had a gentle spirit, and his calm demeanor was always a source of peace for me. Kelly's legacy lives on in the many lives he touched and the difference he made in this world. He was loved and respected by all who worked with him. Rest in peace, my friend. You are deeply missed, but your impact will never be forgotten. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Mecklenburg, Representative Majid, arise?
To speak to the resolution.
The gentleman is recognized to speak to the resolution.
Representative Kelly Alexander, I'm going to be more succinct, but that does not reflect on his largeness as a human being. He was a true public servant, and he got it genetically from his family, a family known for their service to the community, to this state, and to this nation. I appreciated his scientific, I was going to say, insight and his cerebral discourses on this floor. Yeah, I'm so proud to have worked with him on the city and the state level, helping people, and that's what he was about, helping people. So I pray that Almighty God forgive Kelly Alexander's sins, have mercy on his soul, and grant him paradise. Amen.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Mecklenburg, Representative Harris, arise?
Speak on the resolution.
Gentleman is recognized to speak the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kelly was a Charlotte legend. And, you know, when I was first elected to this chamber back in 2018, I was pretty new to Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte in 2016 and got elected here in 2018. And so I'd heard about everything that Kelly had done. And when I came up here, you know, young kid, freshly in here, I tried to do everything I could to, you know, stay out of people's way and make sure I didn't say something stupid. And Kelly was one of the first people who came to me and said, hey, I know what your background is. Like, I do a lot of finance stuff too. You should start working on this stuff. You should start working on these tax credits I'm working on. You should start working on this infrastructure bank. You should start working on these other things. And in a lot of situations, when you come here, you know, you want to start running and people tell you very quickly, hey, that's my area. I've been working on that for years. Don't mess with it. Kelly was different. Kelly came in and he was such a mentor to me when I honestly had no idea how any of this worked. But Kelly knew what I could bring to the table, and he made sure that I had the courage and the confidence to say what I believed. And he gave me that mentorship. And he didn't have to. Like I said, he was a legend. He didn't have to take the time to do that, but that's the kind of person Kelly was. And every time we're in the chamber, he'd always come up to me, ask me how I was doing, ask how things were going, what was he working on. And even this last year when he was sick and he was going through hell, I'd give him a call to check on him, say, hey, how you doing? I heard things aren't great. Are you all right? He didn't want to talk about any of that. He wanted to talk about what was going on up here. He wanted to talk about my campaign. He wanted to talk about how things were going. Give me some policy ideas. Give me some advice. And I'll always remember that. Because when people don't have to be that nice, when people don't have to reach out and help you, that shows you who they are as a person. And I will always be thankful for what Kelly not only gave to our city, gave to our state, but also gave to me personally. I'll miss you, Kelly. I hope you rest in peace. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Mecklenburg, Representative Lofton, arise?
To speak to the resolution.
The gentleman is recognized to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to briefly add my gratitude for Representative Alexander and to his family for the sacrifices they made with his service. So as you all heard, he was a deeply accomplished person, but unlike some of us, and so I've probably done this myself a few times, when you meet somebody, sometimes you hear about all their accomplishments within the first 30 seconds of a conversation. You can know Kelly for years and still learn things you didn't know about him that he accomplished, because he was just a genuine, unassuming, authentic person. Like Wesley, or Representative Harris, I came in as a freshman and learned a lot from Representative Alexander. Sometimes I would come to him as an eager freshman would and had all kinds of ideas about things I wanted to see done, particularly in the area of finance, and he would just lean back and smile and say, well, Brandon, that may work, but just may not. And more often than not, obviously he was right. But he always did so with a gentle spirit and a warmth, and again, an unassuming nature, and I will miss him and his leadership. Thank you.
For what purpose does the lady from Mecklenburg, Representative Logan, rise?
To speak to the resolution, Mr. Speaker.
The lady has the floor.
Well, when I got the news that Representative Alexander had passed, and you know, it really hurt that day. I think the first person I called was Representative Carney, and I'm just a matter-of-fact person. And I think the first thing I asked her was, what, you know, was she sitting down or driving or whatever? And I told her, I said, I don't beat around the bush. And I just came right out and told her that he had passed. And she took it pretty hard. And I know my family always say when it's bad news, I'm the person to call, that I usually try to hold it together. Next person I called was my daughter, because she had worked with Kelly before, and she thought the world of Kelly. And I called her, and it hit her harder than it hit Representative Carney. When I was elected, of course, Representative Alexander knew how close myself and former Representative Earl is. So he kind of stepped in, and he was going to help guide me along. And he had a town hall, and he had me sitting up front with him, and they asked a question, and he turned, he said, "You take that." And I'm like, "Take what? I don't even know what I'm talking about." "You can handle it, you got it, just talk." And I talked about it, and then I looked at him and said, "Why did you do that to me?" He said, "Because it's going to happen all the time. You did just great." And then he was always calling me to his office to talk about a marijuana bill. Me. And his LA would sit there laughing, because I'm in there like, this is not going to work, Kelly. I'm not going to, you cannot talk me into this marijuana bill. So he said, just listen to me now. Just, you know, you and I can work together on this. I said, it's not going to work. But, you know, I told him, I said, I won't go against you on it, but I don't think I can put my name on this bill, this marijuana bill. But he said we was going to work this out, and sooner or later I was going to see him eye to eye on this marijuana bill. But we had the most fun talking about how we was going to work together on passing marijuana in North Carolina. But it didn't happen. I know somebody else might approach me on this. It's not going to happen with me. But he was a really smart person, and I called him the wizard. But Becky talked about him coming through the gold doors, which he did. He never walked past my desk and not stopped. He always stopped at my desk, asked me, how was I doing? You know, what's going on? You got anything to say? I said, it's a circus. He said, I thought it was. And then he'd keep walking. And I'd always say, thank you, Mr. Wizard, for stopping by. So I'm going to really miss Kelly, because I know that I could have learned a lot more from him. And as everyone has said, rest in peace, Brother Kelly Alexander.
Jump from Chatham, Representative Reeves recognized to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And specifically wanted to have a chance to address the family. We had a chance, I know Representative Carney and I, to speak when Kelly initially passed, but I just want you guys to know in particular, I can't, it's like Representative Carney said, it's an emotional day generally, but Kelly was the best of what we had to offer as legislators. And I hope you guys know that and can appreciate that. This place can be overwhelming, it can be frightening, it can be intimidating, and all of us were lesser with Kelly not here. And he can't be replaced. He can't be mimicked. we can only strive to be what he was. And I think everything that you've heard from the Mecklenburg delegation is more than true for all of us. And I think that was the magic of Kelly. It didn't matter where you were from. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter if you'd been here for 20 years or 2 months. It didn't matter if Kelly could look at you and tell you weren't going to last another 2 months. He was going to give you everything he had for the time that you were here. We had so many times that we were stuck here to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the Kelly that you got at 9 o'clock that morning was the Kelly that you got at 2 o'clock that morning. He always did something to make you smile. He always saw when you needed a little boost and a little support. And I can tell you, I don't know many people who were as supportive of the whole caucus as Kelly was. And that means a lot up here, because it can be tough. And just knowing that you had somebody that no matter what was going on was going to be there for you as a person. You know, we concentrate so much up here about how people are going to vote or what positions they have on issues. And all Kelly cared about was who you were as a person and how he could make that person better. And I know that I am 100 times better because Kelly's been in my life for the last 9.5 years. And I do miss him. And it's there are times in particular that you miss him. I hope that as all of us go forward, that we can emulate. And you know, with some people, you want to say emulate the good in them, and you don't have to qualify it with Kelly. I hope we emulate everything we saw with Kelly, because Kelly just wanted the world to be a better place, and he handled it as humble and with as much kindness as anybody I've ever been around. So I thank you guys for sharing him, because I know the sacrifice, especially with him being in Charlotte, you know, that you guys went through with him being up here. Because, you know, I get to go home every night. But I know that all the folks from MEC, you know, when they're here, they got to be here. And Kelly was involved. He didn't have to do anything. And that is a sacrifice. And I know even when Kelly was home, the sacrifice you went through, because he was a legend in Charlotte. So you didn't get to live and just have Kelly to yourself when he got home. You still had to share Kelly with every civic organization, every political organization, every person that needed something, because I know also with the running of the funeral home, and I know that, you know, the brother did all the work, I understand, but still, I know that you gotta, but you do have to share him. And I know that's a sacrifice for the family, because I know there are a lot of times that you just want to have him to yourself. And you want to have the Kelly that you grew up with, the Kelly that you were involved with, the Kelly that was your friend and family member, and you couldn't get that because that wasn't Kelly's nature, because there was nobody that could stop Kelly and Kelly not give him time. So we miss him I can't say we miss him as much as you, but I can tell you I miss him terribly. And I can tell you that there are not enough people left like Kelly. So thank you guys for everything and for allowing us to honor him today.
And I'll just say too, Kelly's one of my favorite members, and I always joked with him around a certain day of the month in April every year. But just one of the kindest people that we've had the pleasure of serving with, and I tell you, he's definitely missed. Any further discussion, debate on the resolution? If not, the question for the House is the passage of House Resolution 1082 on second reading. Those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will open the vote. We'll hold up. I know a couple of members had to step off the floors. Representative Shepard. Okay. Please show Shepard excused. How about Representative Jackson? Jackson excused. How about Representative Fontenot? He had to leave, so excused. And then Representative Jeffers, is he out? Representative Budd, she out. Is she here? Budd, aye. Representative Von Hafen, she leave? Okay, so I can show Jeffers and Von Hafen excused if they're not here. Okay, go ahead and show them excuse, Mr. Clerk. Clerk will lock machine record the vote. 112 having voted in the affirmative, none in the negative. House Resolution 1082 passes at second reading. It's adopted. It's ordered printed. Members, the chair would ask that we please welcome some special guests who are here with us today. First off, we have Kelly's brother, Alfred Alexander, his wife, Helen Alexander, and a good friend, David Howard, who is a friend and former NCDOD deputy. Y'all please stand. Thanks for being with us. Please join me in welcoming our special guest. Thank you. Members, we are now at the point of notices and announcements. Before I open it up to members, I know a few members, this will be their final day in the House and want to speak to that, so we'll take those too. But we have a couple of courtesies of the gallery. First of all, we have on motion of the gentleman from Orange, Representative Buwansi, we have Ansley Cesniak, who is here with us today in the gallery, who's the founder and CEO of Speak Out Sisterhood. Speak Out Sisterhood connects women across the world in a mission to equip one another with the skills and strength to succeed in STEM. Ainsley, where are you? We want to welcome you with us. She's still here. Left, it looks like, I guess. And then on motion of Representatives McNeely, Mills, and Setzer, the chair is happy to extend the courtesies of the gallery to Miss Iredell County, Jamie Logan, who's with us back. Miss Logan, thanks for being with us. Please join me in welcoming Miss Logan with us today. Notice and announcements. For what purpose does the gentleman from Rowan, Representative Warren, rise?
A moment of personal privilege, sir.
The gentleman has the floor.
Colleagues, what I'm about to say, I've really tried rehearsing this for more than a week, and I had something prepared what I was going to say so I wouldn't forget anything. But the way the day's gone with the emotion involved and everything, I'm just kind of throwing that aside. And I do want to mention, though, that over the 14 years I've been here, I've heard members on both sides of the aisle say that we're like a family. Well, I never really saw it that way, but over the 14 years, I've come very close to an individual. And the remarks I had prepared to say about this individual I thought were pretty funny, but I'm not in a position to make that kind of delivery. I will mention, though, that the first time I met George Cleveland, he taught me how to vote. He acquainted me with this little box here. And he said, when it's time to vote, you push this red button, and it'll light up. And I said, well, what's that green one for? And he said, I don't know. But, you know, for 14 years, if you look out that window at the LOB, you'll see in the first parking spot George Cleveland's car because he gets so early. Second car is mine. Third car is Senator Bobby Hannick's car. We get here early. We're kind of like a breakfast club. If you haven't been here early, you don't realize there's no lights in the restroom too. You walk in. But during that time, the first week or so here, I was parking in the first spot, and an older member said to me one day, he said, does Representative Cleveland mind you parking in his spot? And I didn't realize that's where George parked, that there was an order to this. So for the last 14 years, on those very rare times I beat George here, I park in the second spot and save the first spot for him. And ironically, we got here this morning at the same time. I thought he was going to run into me, really. But a colleague of ours asked me, actually Bobby Hannick asked me, since George is retiring, are you going to start parking in the first spot? And I had to think about it because I hadn't thought about it before. And I thought, well, if I do, it'll be out of respect and remembrance of George because he's retiring. But I'll probably consider stay parking in the second spot and just tell myself when I get out of the car in the morning that George must be running late. Several months ago, I began the process of filing and applying for a longleaf pine award for George. And because the process is so long, it hasn't come back yet. But one of the requirements for doing that is to submit 3 letters of recommendation for him and for the recipient. And Speaker Moore, President Pro Tem Berger, and U.S. Senator Tom Tillis were more than happy to provide a letter of recommendation. And I'd like to Beg your indulgence, let me read Senator Tils's letter so you can get a good description or good assessment of what George has contributed to the state. And I was really touched by Tom's letter. So, dear Governor Cooper, I am honored to recommend Representative George Cleveland for the Order of the Longleaf Pine Award. It's the highest honor our state can bestow on extraordinary North Carolinians. Representative Cleveland's illustrious career as a public service, decorated veteran, and advocate for the brave men and women who have served our nation in uniform epitomizes the values and dedication that this award represents. Representative Cleveland's career began with more than 25 years of distinguished service in the United States Marine Corps. His service included a deployment to the Dominican Republic in 1965, where he earned the Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal and an assignment as a drill instructor at Parris Island. During the height of the Vietnam War, he served as a Marine security guard, earning the Combat Action Ribbon for his bravery and selflessness in combat. Following his service in Vietnam, he took on a critical role as the non-commissioned officer in charge of the Security Guard Detachment at the American Embassy in Mexico City. There he was instrumental in ensuring the safety of American and Mexican citizens working at the embassy and the U.S. ambassador to Mexico, earning the Navy Commendation Medal for his exceptional service. Upon retiring from the Marine Corps, Representative Cleveland started a new career as a high school mathematics teacher. George, I can't imagine. When his beloved wife Nancy was assigned to the American Embassy in Italy, he joined her in Rome, teaching at the Notre Dame International School and serving as a part-time assistant security guard at the embassy. His dedication was recognized with a certificate of appreciation from the U.S. State Department. When the Clevelands returned to the United States, they decided to make Jacksonville, North Carolina, their home. It is no surprise that Representative Cleveland immediately became engaged in his community, including joining his local Chamber of Commerce. His devotion to paying it forward to his fellow veterans included roles with the Veterans of the Foreign Wars, the American Legion, the Enlisted Association, and the Fleet Reserve Association. He has also served as a member of the North Carolina Military Affairs Commission. Elected to the North Carolina House of Representatives in 2004, Representative Cleveland's district has encompassed Jacksonville and Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. He has served with distinction for the last 20 years. I had the opportunity to work with George beginning in 2007 when I entered the legislature and was immediately impressed with his work ethic, sense of fairness, and love for our great state. As Speaker of the House, I had the privilege of working with Representative Cleveland and know him to be a tireless advocate for our service members and law enforcement. His tenure as Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee was pivotal, securing critical resources like rescue helicopters for the North Carolina State Highway Patrol and advancing legislation to expand veteran cemeteries in our state. George Cleveland's extensive record of serving his nation, his state, and community embodies the extraordinary service that the Order of the Longleaf Pine honors. Thank you for considering his nomination. George, the Longleaf Pine Award hadn't come yet, but because it's a 120-day thing there. But in the meantime, I'd like to present you with this American flag. Oh, excuse me, that's the North. Well, take the North Carolina flag too. These were flown over the state capitol. Now, I did want to get you an American flag that was closer to your beginning of your public service, but they don't make them with just 13 stars anymore. But I've got to read this to you, George. I don't know what the next legislature is going to accomplish, but we will be handicapped by not having the advantage of your experience, your character, and your integrity to contribute to it. It's been a pleasure to know you, a blessing to have been able to spend so much time with you. And an honor that you call me friend. I love you like a brother, and I'm going to miss you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
The gentleman from Onslow is recognized to speak to a point of personal privilege.
I'm honored, Harry. I really am. I'm not one to go to things that are going to say George is a good guy. I've never done things to get a pat on the back or whatnot. I've always tried to do a decent job, spread a little hate and discontent here and there, and make sure that what needs to get done gets done, if I have anything to say about it. Harry, I've always considered you as a friend. I thought in your first term up here I scared you away on one of the bills we worked on, but fortunately you didn't wander off on me. And I have many, many other friends here, and I want everyone to know that anytime I can do anything for anybody in this chamber that's within my power, I'll do it. It's as simple as that. We are a family, whether we like it or not, and we look after each other, whether we like each other or not. But that's the way it is here, and that's the way the world should work. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But again, the honor of having a longleaf pine is just beyond what I would expect, or I really think I deserve. But thank you.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Buncombe, Representative Rudell, rise?
Point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This will be my last speech in this body. I decided to run for U.S. Congress and couldn't run for 2 districts at once, so I'm saying goodbye to you all. It has been one of the great honors of my life to serve in this body alongside all of you. You know, when I was a Peace Corps volunteer, they said, toughest job you'll ever love was the slogan, and that's true for that job, and it's really true for this job. And it's true for all jobs that are about public service, doing the hard things, and standing up for your community. And I've also said this is the weirdest job I've ever had, and it's the only job where you have to work with your colleagues, but you also are trying to fire them every 2 years. And I said that to somebody else, and they said, no, that's not true. They're trying to fire you as well. And I was like, oh, yes, that is probably more like it. But I say that because I think that's what this job is about. It's about holding 2 things in your head at once. That is possible to work together, and it's possible to also really disagree, as we have also seen today. And I've tried to exemplify that, and that's been about singing together while also hosting protests. That's been about skydiving together while also really disagreeing, because I think that's what the people of North Carolina really want us to do. They want us to get together and solve hard problems. And I really hope after today we can do that with hurricane relief and with all the issues that are going to come up over the next 2 years. And I want to thank the staff for being such an amazing anchor in the institution and being a steady footing amidst all the chaos. My colleagues on this side of the aisle for putting up with me for 2 years, and the same to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I'm going to take a break, hopefully do some surfing, and get along with my life. But I wish you all the best of luck, and it's been an honor to serve alongside of you. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Stanley, Representative Sasser, rise?
Point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a man who doesn't say much on the floor, I'm not going to disappoint you today. Just wanted to let everybody know what an honor it's been to serve the last 6 years with you, and that includes everybody. Where we agreed on everything or didn't agree, we walked away as friends, and I love all of you, and retirement's going to be fantastic. So thanks for everybody.
For what purpose does the lady from Cabarrus, Representative Staten Williams, rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'm rising for a point of personal privilege.
Lady has the floor.
Thank you. So when I won this seat in 2022, I couldn't imagine all the things that I would learn about this building, the people, and I am very grateful and honored to have the opportunity to be here. First and foremost, I want to thank the entire staff of this building. You truly don't know what people do on a day-to-day basis, especially when working with 120 odd people trying to figure out their wants and needs. And I'm truly grateful for our Sergeant at Arms, the administrative staff, environmental services, all the people who make this building run. I know how hard it is, and I'm truly grateful that you are here to do the hard work. For my caucus, I am forever grateful for everyone here, just really leaning in to support me, help educate me, and give me the tools that I needed to be successful in this office, especially my friends across the aisle. I am ever grateful for the kindness that has been displayed for me and towards me, even in moments of unkindness in front of children about things said about me. I am grateful for that kindness and know that I will never forget that, and I'll never forget the words as well that were said. So please know, while I won't be here over the next 2 years in this chamber, I'll still be in the building, advocating for what's best for people, for the things that they need and want, and in particular for nurses. Because we know without nurses, most of these hospitals won't function. And we need to make sure that nurses get exactly what they need, from professors, from pay, all the way down to nursing staff. We need it. So I'll be seeing you. Have a good one.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Granville, Representative Sossaman, rise?
Point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
This is my last day or days. I think we still have some committee work on the House Select Committee, another meeting or two. But I have thoroughly enjoyed my 2 years here. I've met some incredible people, worked with some wonderful individuals. It's already been said about the people that's behind the scenes making us look good and making us look smart. I think that there should be, from one of our institutions, some kind of degree that's conferred upon individuals who come and serve in the General Assembly. If nothing else, a degree of hard knocks or something. But I appreciate the opportunity. I will continue to do all I can to work in my district and do what I can to help across the state. I'll probably be visiting you every now and then and hopefully get a lunch out of you. But God bless you. Hope you have a great Christmas.
What purpose does the gentleman from Cabarrus, Representative Crutchfield, rise?
Point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I hear a lot of times people talk about at these type of events, and they talk about it being the honor of their life. And I will say it's been a pretty high up there, but I'd have to say the honor of my life has been a dad and been a grandfather to 9 amazing grandchildren. But being up here with you guys and having the ability and the opportunity to impact their lives for the rest of their life, that's been an honor. And I appreciate all of you putting up with me. I appreciate what you've taught me. And hopefully I'm not done, but we'll see what happens. You might have to put up with me again, so be careful. Have a Merry Christmas, and thank you very much.
For what purpose does the lady from Cabarrus, Representative Baker, rise?
Point of personal privilege.
The lady has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in my last session in the North Carolina House to say thank you. Thank you for this unparalleled privilege. Thank you for an opportunity and an experience like no other. Thank you for a journey unimagined and forever treasured. I want to thank my amazing, loyal, and dedicated legislative assistant, Ellie Clayton, and my research assistant, Jeff Hauser. Both of them have always put our constituents first, and that, of course, is the core tenet of our mission up here. I want to thank you to the exceptional staff. Your knowledge and your skills are truly invaluable. Moreover, your professionalism has been unflinching. Thank you to our Capitol Police, our sergeants at arms, and our security personnel. Beyond ensuring our safety here each and every day, you also create a culture of kindness, and we would all do well to emulate that. And of course, my deepest gratitude goes to those who elected me, to the citizens of Cabarrus County. Thank you for entrusting me to work for you and for allowing me to work with you. It's my hope and belief that we have indeed left things a little better than we found them. And then to you, my esteemed colleagues, as we have walked this privileged path of service together, we found ourselves confronted with complex problems, with urgent problems, with problems our children and families need us to solve. Often, the answers are not easy. We wrestle with what to do, with what not to do, with how to vote. And during these times, I've repeatedly returned to something that's become a touchstone for me. And I share it with you because each one of you has played a role in that. My touchstone is actually a quote from Sir Edmund Burke, the renowned philosopher and politician, who in 1774, with great insight and arguably equal candor, boldly stated the following. He said, "Your representative owes you not just his industry, but his judgment. And he betrays instead of serving you if he sacrifices his judgment to your opinion." So in other words, good government and good legislation is based on solid reasoning and logic, which builds to a conclusion, a judgment. It's not based on popular opinion, and may I even say, it's not based on party opinion. So our job, my job, as I see it, has been to tackle the tough problems by asking questions, by trying to learn what I don't know and what I don't readily understand, and especially and intentionally seeking such insight from those whose positions seem different than mine. And you here in this chamber have been integral to that pursuit, to helping me know what I don't know, to helping me understand the vast elements of the puzzle impacting these pressing issues, and doing so respectfully. And while we certainly haven't solved all the problems, we have worked together many times to find common ground, and in doing so, we did develop mutual trust. We grew in logic and reasoning and critical thinking and respectful debate, intent upon discovering the conclusion, the judgment that serves our citizens and it honors our service. Thus, we've been agents unified in a common endeavor, and as we've equipped each other with knowledge, we have actually equipped ourselves with understanding. Not understanding just the problems, but understanding the people whose lives bear witness to the problems and whose stories remind us that we must find solutions. So as we work together toward these solutions, not in perfection, but in unified pursuit, we actually have a chance to redeem the institution that is our government, and perhaps occasionally to redeem ourselves in the process. So thank you. Thank you for taking this journey with me, for being this journey for me. And whatever lies ahead, for you and for me, I pray God's blessings that we may continue to work and to walk in service to one another and in glory to Him. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Mecklenburg, Representative Harris, rise?
Point of personal privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is going to be the last time I address you all on the House floor, and I just want to, first, I want to thank you all for your service to North Carolina, your support of me my entire time here. You know, this is the end of my third term, and, you know, I grew up in rural North Carolina, and everything that I am is because I grew up in North Carolina. And because of that, honestly, everything that I am is because of the people who've sat in this room and who've made those decisions to give a kid like me a chance. And that's what's so incredible about North Carolina. And it's been the honor of my life to serve with you all these past 6 years. I'm not married or have kids, so I can still say it's the honor of my life. And I'm certainly going to miss serving with you all. I'm going to miss the fight. I'm not sure what comes next, but I'll still be around, because I do believe at the end of the day that government can be a force for good when it invests in our people. And I want to say thank you to the people of Charlotte for giving me the opportunity to serve y'all. You know, growing up, I grew up about an hour and a half northwest of Charlotte, and Charlotte was this city on a hill. It was the metropolis. The first time I went there in kindergarten, it was the first time I saw a skyscraper, and I was hooked. And I spent literally my entire adult life trying to get to Charlotte. And I got there in 2016. And after the 2016 election, you know, I've always been interested in politics. I said, okay, well, if there's ever a time to do something, now, it's now. And I remember I went home and told my parents, I was like, I'm thinking about running for office, running for the state house. And my mom said, no one knows who the hell you are. And I said, true, hear me out. And she was right. And I was lucky. You know, in 2018, I was able to run because the Democratic Party literally could not find another human being willing to run for that seat. And so I jumped at the opportunity, and it's been incredible ever since. And so getting to know all of you has been incredible. Like, this has been the best job of my life. It's also been the most frustrating job of my life. And hell, that's just dealing with Democrats. But that's what democracy is. You know, democracy's messy. I like to, you know, use the example of, if anyone's ever tied a bow tie, you get to a point where you feel like you're doing it right, but it's just all messed up, and you're like, this can't be right. But you just keep pulling, and sure enough, it works. And that's really what democracy is too. It's frustrating, it's irritating, it's anger-inducing, but doggone it, it works. And it works because of the give and take we have, because we all do have the best values at heart. We disagree on how to get there,